The story begins with a quiet revelation of a dragon who exists without a name. Since the days when the world was filled with chaos, that presence has endured through ages and memory. Life has unfolded at the foot of the holy Mount Olympus, where the dragon remains in silent solitude. Little creatures grow and decline through passing ages, as those called elves and dwarfs offer devotion and build shrines in quiet reverence for the dragon. Time continues its path toward those known as humans as they walk the land and shape a fragile, fleeting existence beneath the same sky. Memories endure of dark kings and dark queens who build their castles nearby, yet it does not truly affect life upon the mountain where the dragon continues to exist in quiet distance. At times the dark kin come and invite the dragon to join their army, while shadows gather with silent intent, yet no answer is given. At times humans arrive and begin shouting about one god or another, as their voices rise with restless devotion seeking meaning. The dragon chooses to pretend to be asleep and remains still until they leave and silence returns once more. Days pass as the dragon watches the sky while lying in a favored place at the foot of the mountain and reaches toward beautiful flowers during warm spring days. Life continues in gentle solitude as the dragon walks through quiet paths and offers apology to the moss beneath each step, as such moments become the shape of its existence. A small human reaches forward with bright joy and calls the dragon as daddy while warmth fills the space between them. The quiet flow of days breaks as one day arrives when a small human calls out to the dragon and draws its attention for the first time. A sudden shock rises as the dragon sees a human and realizes she is a female, while confusion follows with the demand to know how she arrived in such a place. Concern deepens as her small form appears in the middle of winter, wearing nothing but rags, and the thought forms that this is a problem as she softly calls for daddy with fragile uncertainty. Her voice reaches again with a faint that trembles into a louder call for daddy as the dragon is drawn closer by that simple cry. Confusion deepens as the dragon recalls that daddy refers to a human father and questions whether such a role could belong to him. Denial rises as the dragon insists there is no memory of ever having a child with any human. Disbelief follows as solitude has been cherished for a long time, and there should be no children within that existence. The thought settles into certainty that this must be a mistake. A sharp gasp escapes the dragon as the thought forms that she must have been separated from her family and left alone in this place. He offers a gentle assumption that she must be searching for her daddy and tries to guide her toward that truth. Her face shines with joy as she calls out daddy with pure certainty. The dragon resists the claim and answers that he is not her daddy, yet the words fall softly against her unwavering call. The dragon questions her presence and wonders if she is human, while asking where she comes from, yet her only answer remains a call for daddy that echoes again and again. He repeats with quiet firmness that he is not her daddy, yet her voice rises with another cry for daddy and refuses to change. Her small form draws close and rests with gentle trust as a soft smile blooms upon her face, and warmth begins to settle within the dragon. A quiet hum escapes the dragon as he looks upon the small human resting close, while soft chirps and distant tweets drift through the air. The dragon insists that he is not her father and startles at his own voice, yet uncertainty follows as he admits that certainty fades into doubt. A sudden gasp escapes him as the question forms of why she keeps calling him daddy. He begins to wonder if perhaps she is still so young that she knows no other words as she nestles close with soft snuggles. Memories rise of the other humans who once visited the mountain, as they speak of gods who rule the land and plead for requests while their small forms remain no larger than the size of his palm, and he chooses to pretend to sleep and remain distant. A gentle realization follows as he compares those mature humans to this small one and understands that she is different in a fragile and tender way. A realization forms that she is a human infant as her small form rests close, and her presence feels fragile and new. He sees how small she is and understands that she still needs the protection of her parents as the truth settles within him. A gentle thought follows as he looks upon her and asks for her name while inviting her to try to say it with her own voice. A soft pause lingers as the small human gathers her voice and gently forms the name Olivia. The dragon accepts the name Olivia and finds it splendid as he gently brushes her and holds her small form with growing care. Olivia offers gentle comfort with innocent certainty that her daddy will come soon as her soft trust settles warmly against the dragon. A quiet thought follows that her real daddy is likely worried and searching in panic as the distance between them feels heavy. A quiet truth settles that her daddy never came as time passes without answer, and absence grows heavier. The dragon finds it strange, and believes her real daddy should be searching for her, while doubt lingers, as he cannot imagine why he would not. Olivia looks on with soft confusion, and repeats the word daddy, as if it holds all meaning, while the dragon gently insists that he is not the one she seeks, and speaks of her real daddy. Her small voice answers again with the same call for daddy, and her expression falls into a faint murmur as uncertainty begins to touch her fragile heart. A soft hum escapes the dragon as he notices the flowers resting upon him, and considers that they look good as Olivia answers with a bright call for daddy. Olivia moves gently among the flowers as her small hands gather them with care, while the dragon watches in quiet attention. He tries to make her understand, and explains that there is no way he could be her daddy as distance stands between their natures. The truth is spoken with firm clarity that he is a dragon, and she is a human, and that there is no way they could be related, or that he could be her father. Olivia falters as the flowers slip from her small hands. The dragon notices her unease, and believes she must feel upset because her daddy has not come yet, and decides that something must be done as hesitation follows in his thoughts. He gently asks if she is from Pius, and waits as her silence leaves only a small question behind. A thought forms that she may come from Pius, as it stands as the closest village, and there seems no other place she could belong. The dragon forms a gentle thought that her daddy may have become lost upon the mountain, and that this is why he could not find her, as he seeks a small sign of agreement. He offers comfort with quiet resolve that it will be all right, and that she will be taken back home, soon as a promise begins to take shape within him. The dragon lowers his great form, and invites Olivia to climb upon his back, as an unspoken offer of safety takes shape. Olivia responds with bright delight, as she calls the warmth cool, and clings closer, while small shakes of excitement move through her. A quiet realization follows that many years have passed since the dragon last walked beyond solitude, as each step carries a heavy thump through the forest. A light thought lingers that such simple movement brings praise to oneself, as if the act alone holds meaning after so long. A sudden pause comes as the dragon sees the village ahead, and realizes he cannot enter in such a form, as the thought of it feels wrong. A shift begins as power gathers, and a transformation takes hold while his form changes, and carries Olivia safely within his arms. Her voice trembles with surprise as she calls for daddy while the new presence stands before her in a different shape. A quiet understanding forms that remaining in that former shape would have caused fear within the village and brought trouble upon them. The path nears the village as he tells Olivia they are almost there, and assures her that she will be home soon while her quiet face holds something unspoken. He notices her silence and wonders what is wrong as concern begins to grow within him. A firm belief settles that her real daddy must have been searching everywhere and must be deeply worried for her. He thinks that perhaps she feels like she was lost and now stands close to home, yet her silence remains, and the thought lingers that something within her does not match that hope. A tender thought lingers that Olivia is still so small and so tiny and adorable as her quiet presence rests close. Gratitude is given as they reach the village, and a direction is offered toward a small house on the outskirts, while disbelief grows that any parent could abandon a child like her. A quiet excuse forms as his gaze lowers, and a single word begins to rise within him as a decision starts to take shape. A cruel voice breaks the quiet as a man laughs in harsh delight, and feels relief at finally being rid of the child, while pride fills him in his human form. As the truth settles before him and anger rises within his chest with overwhelming force. Laughter rings out with cruel delight, as voices mock the act of leaving a child in the forest, and question it with careless amusement. He boasts with pride that the plan had been clever since her birth, and treats the cruelty as something worthy. He reveals that he told Olivia she was the child of a dragon, and then abandoned her after taking her away, while satisfaction lingers in his tone. A quiet image of Olivia remains as she believed every word with pure trust. Another voice joins with harsh amusement, and declares that the troublesome child ran into the forest calling for daddy, and now freedom belongs to them both as laughter spreads without remorse. A stunned realization rises, as the dragon in human form questions if this man is truly Olivia's daddy, and the thought cuts deep. The truth settles with heavy weight, as he sees the man clearly, and understands the cruel answer that stands before him. The man speaks with bitter indifference, and claims to be the victim, while revealing that Olivia's mother died giving birth, as if her loss holds no meaning beyond his own grievance. The man continues with cold reasoning and claims that a woman carries a child long enough to grow used to being a mother, while a father is forced into the role without warning, and calls it unfair, as if burden defines his cruelty. He speaks with mocking ease and declares that a good mother raises both her child and her husband while laughing as though responsibility belongs elsewhere. His voice turns darker as he reveals that the woman died at the moment of birth and treats it as a simple fact without sorrow. He adds that his misfortune had only just begun and holds on to that belief while Olivia remains small and silent as pain quietly gathers within her fragile heart. The man mocks Olivia with cruel words and calls her useless, while claiming she could do nothing and cried all day, as if her pain were a burden to him. A harsh realization strikes as the dragon sees the place meant to be her home and understands the truth behind it. Laughter rises again and fills the space with sharp noise as the dragon holds Olivia close. He realizes that Olivia has never once thought of that man as her father, and that her heart had already chosen a different meaning for that word. A deep realization rises as every time Olivia called out for her daddy, her heart was reaching toward him alone. He understands that in every lonely moment and every fragile call she had been thinking of him. A truth unfolds that Olivia did not come because she was lost as her steps carried her with quiet purpose. She came searching for him on her own as her small heart held on to that path without doubt. Her fragile hope remained bound to the lies that man had told. A quiet thought lingers that she is only a human child and so very small. He understands that she still depends on her parents, and that such a bond should have protected her. A quiet resolve takes shape as he accepts the truth before him. He turns toward Olivia and lifts her gently as her small form rests securely in his arms. A promise is born as he declares that he will become her daddy. The cruel laughter fades into distance as harsh words declare that she is no longer needed in that house and cast her away without care. A new path is offered as he tells Olivia that she can stay with him and that they will live together in the forest on Mount Olympus as a place of belonging takes form. Tears gather in her eyes as the weight of pain meets the warmth of his promise. A fragile voice reaches out with a trembling call for daddy as Olivia clings tightly in his arms. A faint scoff rises with hollow pride as laughter echoes in the background, and he convinces himself that Olivia will be raised into a great person under his hand. A heavy thump resounds as something is cast aside without care, and a voice grants cold permission that he may do as he wants. A violent force erupts into a roaring boom that shatters the stillness and tears through the ground with overwhelming power. Shock grips him as a stunned breath escapes while Olivia cries out in fear. Voices rise in confusion as chatter spreads and questions ripple through the air about what just happened, while a shaken thought admits he forgot to hold back and realizes how strong dragons truly are. Panic tightens around him as he fears the entire house has been destroyed and dread urges escape before anyone notices, while Olivia instead bursts with wonder and calls him cool as disbelief clashes with alarm, and others question the sudden chaos around them. Concern lingers as distant voices hesitate and suggest it may be nothing, yet unease remains since that man's cruel words have already settled deep within his chest and refuse to fade. A quiet laugh escapes him as he accepts one truth from that man and admits within his heart that becoming a father came suddenly and without warning. Olivia looks up with gentle confusion and calls for daddy. He denies it softly and insists it is nothing while carrying her forward through the silent forest as the weight of that unspoken change lingers within him. Since the day he became Olivia's father, he devotes himself to learning and turns countless pages as he studies without rest and absorbs every lesson he can find. Shock bursts from the shopkeeper as disbelief rises at the sight before him, while the young man proudly gathers every book in the store and claims the entire stock of a book vendor in the city as his own. From the day he accepted the role of Olivia's father, his thoughts turn inward with purpose as he spends his time reading countless books. A surge of surprise spreads as the shopkeeper reels at the claim that the entire stock of a book vendor in the city has been bought without hesitation. He learns to cook vegetables until they soften enough for Olivia, and each lesson becomes a quiet promise to care for her better. The books reveal many things and teach him about clothes and sickness, and the ways humans care for their bodies to remain clean. He reflects that life as a dragon stretched long and solitary, and left him knowing little of humans, yet the written pages begin to fill that emptiness with knowledge. When that time arrives, he wishes for her to live happily surrounded by others of her kind, as his thoughts remain steady. He holds a gentle hope that one day she will grow into an adult and find her place among humans with ease. He accepts that he is now Olivia's father and understands that her happiness must come first in his life. A quiet doubt lingers within him as he wonders when that distant future will arrive, while Olivia's cheerful call for daddy gently pulls his thoughts back to the present. Delight shines through Olivia as she admires a small treasure, and her voice fills with wonder at its beauty, while he answers with calm certainty that it is a fine red jewel. She beams with excitement and places a crown upon her head, and proudly shows it off while declaring it matches him perfectly. Confusion lingers as Olivia looks upon the scattered treasures and wonders if they all belong to her daddy. He reflects that these items only came because strangers kept arriving and offering them without reason, and he accepted them without question. He admits he does not know why such things gather around him. He adds that those strangers still helped by bringing clothes and books for Olivia, and believes gratitude should remain for their actions despite the strangeness behind them. Olivia grows silent as she listens, and her small expression settles into thought as she tries to understand his words. A quiet breath follows as she notes that the daddy spends his time reading and learning while Olivia watches him with soft curiosity. A sudden realization strikes him as he remembers the teaching that human children need someone who will love and care for them, and he calls Olivia's name with new purpose. Doubt grips him as he questions what he should do while uncertainty clouds his thoughts. Olivia lowers her gaze with a quiet sigh and remains silent as she listens. Resolve forms at last as he reaches his answer. A soft rush of movement follows as he gathers her close and opens the pages before them as he invites Olivia to read a book together, and his voice carries a simple warmth shaped by newfound resolve. A soft voice begins a tale of long ago in a distant land where a princess once lived, and the story unfolds with gentle care as he reads beside Olivia. Olivia repeats the words with curiosity and quiet effort as she learns the rhythm of the story, and he affirms her with warmth and calls her very good. The tale continues as the princess holds a lizard as her dearest friend within the castle, yet others see the creature as something unpleasant and unworthy. A shadow falls over the story as a servant casts the small lizard into the fire, and the words linger with a quiet heaviness as he continues to read for her. The story answered through gentle telling, as the princess in tears kissed the burned back of the lizard, and that act brought the creature back to life while the form changed into a handsome knight. His tale moved toward its ending as the princess and the lizard knight remained together in a beautiful castle, and their days continued in peace while happiness lasted without end. Joy spilled from Olivia as she declared the story had been fun, and her small voice carried bright warmth. A quiet smile followed as he shared that the same joy had reached him too, and Olivia remained close within that simple happiness. A softer thought settled within him as worry lingered that Olivia had no one to speak with beyond him. Hope rose beside that worry as he believed reading these books aloud to Olivia would help her even a little, and the growing stack of pages became a quiet promise. Time passed into a few quiet days later. Olivia spoke of ancient dragons as proud beings, and her small form held a quiet certainty as she followed the lines within the book. She spoke of a time when dragons who lived upon the holy mountain were known, and her calm tone carried knowledge beyond her years. That those dragons were revered as gods and commanded the faith of the people, while her voice remained simple and clear. A sudden realization stirred within him as surprise rose, and he questioned if Olivia held a hidden brilliance while his thoughts paused in disbelief. Unsteady steps followed as he tried to grasp what she had done, and disbelief lingered as he realized she had truly been reading the book. He understood that the book was not a simple picture book, but a record of ancient mythology, and his voice carried astonishment at her ability. A softer warmth touched him as a faint blush appeared, and a quiet realization formed that the words within the book were speaking of him. A sudden burst of excitement overcame him as he declared Olivia a genius, and repeated it with rising amazement, while Olivia watched in quiet confusion. Time moved forward through the quiet reading as the words continued, and Olivia carried them with gentle confidence. The number of dragons that had survived since ancient times remained very few, and the world seemed to have nearly forgotten them. Long years passing since the last confirmed sighting of a dragon upon the holy mountain of Olympus, and the distance of time felt vast and heavy. A small laugh escaped Olivia as she turned the page with light delight. Excitement returned once more as he praised Olivia again, and called her a genius with growing pride. A quiet shift followed as more days passed, and the calm routine of reading continued. Olivia read on with steady voice and spoke of those few who possessed the greatest intellect ever known, and how they came to be called the 6 sages of Realis. Soft admiration filled his thoughts as he saw Olivia as a genius and found her presence unbearably cute. That feeling deepened as he noticed her brightness and the gentle way she read such difficult books. Curiosity rose within Olivia as she asked if the 6 sages of Realis had truly been real people. He confirmed that they were real, and the truth settled gently between them. Memory stirred within him as he recalled meeting one of them named Vandelson, and the past returned with faint warmth. He continued with calm reflection, as that man had only just begun learning to become a wizard in those days, and time had carried him far beyond that beginning into someone of great standing. Curiosity shone in Olivia as she wondered if he had truly been friends with the sages, and her admiration grew with that thought. A gentle answer followed as he found the true amazement in Olivia herself, and praised her for reading such a difficult book with quiet pride. Hope flickered within Olivia as she questioned if that praise was real. A new idea rose as he suggested trying an even harder book that day, and the challenge felt light. Joy came easily as Olivia agreed without hesitation, and her eagerness remained clear. A small voice followed as she expressed a wish to try that one, and her choice carried simple eagerness. A gentle response came as he noted her interest in another history book, and found her tastes curious, yet endearing as they stood together among the many books. Excitement sparkled from Olivia as she held a book close, and found it interesting, and her joy shone without restraint. A quiet admiration filled his thoughts as he reflected that Olivia was truly smart and also too cute. A quiet realization settled within him as the passing days formed a gentle count, and the thought came that this had become the 63rd day spent as Olivia's father. Ancient truth revealed that the voices of dragons who had lived since distant times possessed an incredible power. That power carried wisdom, and the words spoken aloud would be absorbed immediately by the children who heard them. A quiet realization followed, as he saw that his own voice had been passing knowledge directly into Olivia. A gentle thought formed within him, as he believed Olivia seemed like an adorable genius. Curiosity reached Olivia as she asked what had caught his attention. A calm answer followed as he brushed it aside and spoke of nothing at all. As he suggested lunchtime, and offered the milk soup she loved, and his tone carried quiet care. Joy answered him at once as Olivia expressed love for him, and her small voice held pure happiness. The quiet conflict stayed with him as he watched the pot bubble gently, as he remembered the cookbook suggesting that adding honey would make the dish better. Another memory rose to meet it, as the book on caring for children warned that honey should not be given to someone as small as Olivia. He wonders how old she must be, and he convinces himself that she is no longer a baby, and believes it may be fine to treat her as someone growing beyond that fragile stage. He studies the small piece in his hand, and wonders how many years it takes for a human to grow up. He calls out that it is done for Olivia, and presents the warm meal with quiet hope. Olivia lifts her small arms with joy, and her delight rises freely as she celebrates the simple moment. The steam rises from the bowl, and the warmth fills the space as he watches her reaction. She expresses love for the milk soup, and her happiness shines through each word. He feels relief as he sees her like it so much. She almost spills, and he reacts at once to protect her. He warns her that it is hot and tells her to be careful. He eagerly asks for seconds, and her small voice holds simple excitement. He reflects that their first winter together passes quietly and carries them gently into spring as time moves without pause. Olivia tastes the food and finds it delicious as her happiness shows without restraint. He watches her and quietly wonders how long she will remain a child. He suggests that Olivia should go look at flowers today and offers the idea with gentle care. He recalls that the pink flowers she likes should be in full bloom by now. He walks after Olivia and sees her small figure surrounded by blooming petals. Olivia runs ahead and calls for him to look as she finds the flowers so pretty, and her joy spreads freely. He follows behind her and agrees that they are quite beautiful as he watches her happiness more than the blossoms. He tells Olivia not to run too far. Olivia answers with a bright promise to be careful and continues forward with innocent trust. He imagines that her childhood will pass in the blink of an eye. He realizes that it will happen faster than someone like him can ever imagine. He forms a quiet resolve within himself and accepts the path ahead as he chooses to cherish each passing day with her. He decides that he will show Olivia all the beautiful sights he has seen in his long life. He promises to share every wonderful thing he understands and to discover many new things together with her before she grows. He accepts that even if he raises her with all his care, she will always remain human, and that fragile truth deepens the bond he chooses to protect. He understands that her lifespan and way of living will be different from his. He reflects that the things Olivia will eat, the places she will live, and the way she will see time are all different from his own. He remembers that he could sleep for hundreds of years at a time, yet Olivia could only rest for a single night. He realizes that he could live fine on his own, and that truth remains simple and certain within him. Olivia calls for him to watch her spin, and her laughter rises as she turns freely among the flowers. He sees her joy and understands that Olivia and humans like her cannot live as he does. He reflects that each human is independent and unique, yet they live together in groups and share their lives with others. His thoughts revealed that he could not let her continue living that way, and he told Olivia that he wanted to ask something. She asked what it was and waited for his answer. He then asked if she wanted to look for a house with him and offered the idea of them leaving together. She repeated the word house with soft wonder and tried to understand what he meant. He confirmed it was a house and guided her gently toward the idea he wished to share. She pointed at the hollow tree and thought that must be what a house was like. He told Olivia that it was only a hollow tree and not the kind of place he had in mind. He then assured her that they could find a much bigger house than that, and offered her a vision far beyond what she knew. He told her they could find a house so large that even if he turned into a dragon it would not break, and offered her a place strong enough to hold both her life and his true form. Olivia repeated the thought of a big house and tried to picture something beyond the small space she knew. She wondered if such a place meant something like a castle. He considered her idea and accepted that a castle might indeed be the kind of place that could become their home. She remembered seeing one in a book filled with many windows that shone brightly. He accepted that memory and let it become part of the dream they were shaping together. He asked Olivia if she wanted to live in a castle. Olivia answered with simple joy and chose that dream without hesitation. He then told Olivia that such a life would make her a princess and offered her a future shaped by warmth and belonging. She continued her bright imagination and declared that he could become the prince within that castle world she had formed. The promise of a shared home and a new life rose between them and turned into something powerful that neither could ignore. She called out to him with concern and asked what was wrong as his expression changed. He told Olivia it was nothing and asked for a moment so he could calm himself and steady the feeling rising within him. He then accepted the idea of a castle and admitted that it sounded good as he held on to the dream she had given him. Olivia spoke with eager determination and declared that they would make one together and that she wanted to help. He gently refused her worry and told her to leave it to him as he took that responsibility upon himself. He asked Olivia if she would like to go flying that day and offered her a new experience beyond the ground. Olivia answered with surprise and wondered if he could truly fly as excitement rose within her. He revealed that he had seen a castle somewhere nearby and turned that idea into a destination they could reach together. He declared that the fastest way to reach that distant castle was to fly, and he carried Olivia into the sky as the world below stretched wide and the castle rose ahead like a promise. She realized it was a real castle and let that discovery fill her with awe, while they drew closer to the place that had once only lived in her imagination. He urged Olivia to hold tight and not let go as they rushed. He descended from the sky and reached the ground at last as relief passed through him. He admitted that such a long flight had left her tired as he stood before the vast structure now within reach. A heavy crash followed their landing, and the sound spread across the area with force. She admitted that such a long flight had left her tired as she stood before the vast structure now within reach. Olivia sensed the presence first and warned that someone was coming. A sharp voice rose as someone approached and demanded to know who stood there while tension filled the space. Recognition followed as that voice struck a memory and revealed a connection to the elder dragon of Mount Olympus. The figure stepped forward with force and authority and called out with familiarity after a long time apart and addressed Miss Claria. Claria declared with urgency that the castle belonged to the Dark Queen Merdia, and believed that this arrival meant agreement to join their army as suspicion shaped her words. Olivia quietly recalled that the word army had appeared in the history books and tried to understand the meaning behind it. Claria questioned the creature on his back and focused on Olivia as confusion replaced certainty. She observed that the small figure looked human and struggled to reconcile that sight with what stood before her. He revealed that Olivia was his daughter, and presented her with pride while asking if she was not adorable. Claria was overwhelmed by shock as the truth struck her, and she struggled to accept that a daughter of a dragon could be human. She rejected the claim, and believed it to be deception, as she refused to be fooled by what stood before her. He warned her to be careful before anything could go wrong. The dragon bent the sword with ease and showed strength far beyond ordinary resistance. Claria cried out in distress as her hex blade broke, and the loss struck her with disbelief. Olivia watched in shock and realized that the blade had been broken. He insisted that he had not meant harm, and explained that he had only tried to take hold of it as the situation slipped beyond control. Claria gathered herself and declared that a dragon of such size must be defeated at once. He tried to correct her and made it clear that this was not the reason they had come, as he sought to stop her before things escalated further. He denied any intention to join them, and he revealed that his aim was to speak with the Dark Queen. He expressed the desire to ask for a favor and held to that purpose despite the tension. Claria echoed the words and lingered on the meaning of that request. The moment settled into reluctant acceptance as she allowed the path forward to open before them. Claria declared that as Lady Meridia Knight she would hear the request, and asked what the dragon wished from them. He revealed that the wish was to have the castle, and expressed it as a simple desire. Claria accepted the meaning and acknowledged that this was all, and that she understood. Claria reacted with a cry of shock as the request struck her with overwhelming force. He explained that the castle seemed large for only 2 people, and reasoned that it would be enough for his purpose. He then asked if his daughter and himself could move in until she grew up, and revealed a simple wish for a place to stay. He added that the air there was not good, and intended to bring the castle back to his mountain as part of that plan. Olivia brightened with excitement and imagined living in the castle as joy filled her voice. Suddenly Claria collapsed to the ground as her strength gave way. Olivia then noticed Claria's condition and believed that something was wrong with her as worry filled her voice. He grew concerned and called Olivia to come down as unease spread through his thoughts. Olivia answered with simple agreement. He turned toward Claria and called out to her with urgency as the situation shifted into concern. He held Claria in his arms and called to her with concern as he asked if she was all right. Claria murmured to her lady with fading strength and revealed how sudden the collapse had been while weakness overtook her. Claria stirred with faint awareness and expressed frustration at the lack of sense that had led to this state as her voice carried both strain. He decided that Claria must be taken inside at once as urgency guided every step forward. He carried her toward the castle while Olivia followed close beside him. He entered the castle while carrying Claria and called out in urgency as he asked if anyone was there and revealed that Claria had collapsed. Olivia looked around the silent hall and called out as well while searching for any presence that could answer them. He raised his voice and called for the Dark Queen to come out and revealed again that Claria had collapsed. Olivia sensed the emptiness of the castle and believed no one was there as uncertainty filled her voice. He refused that thought and assured her that someone was coming as he held Claria close and waited. A fierce presence rose and demanded to know who had dared to summon her, and questioned what fool had disturbed her slumber, while a threat followed that none who stood before her would leave the castle alive. She revealed herself as the Dark Queen Meridia and declared her name with power, as she warned that such barbarism would lead only to death for those who trespassed. Olivia looked at the Dark Queen and believed she saw a sheep as innocent confusion shaped her words, while the Dark Queen rejected that claim and declared her true identity with force. The Dark Queen felt her grand entrance ruined and lamented that careful preparation had been wasted as frustration lingered within her. She then sensed the immense magical energy before her and questioned if he was the elder dragon of Mount Olympus as recognition began to form. He accepted that she remembered him and confirmed his presence. He confirmed that he was the dragon who lived on Mount Olympus. Meridia trembled with confusion and questioned what this meant as she wondered why a member of the most powerful ancient race would seek her, while she revealed that she had only lived quietly within her castle. Olivia stepped forward and introduced herself with gentle warmth. She steadied herself and declared again that she was the Dark Queen Meridia as she tried to regain her composure. She called out to Claria with panic as fear rose within her, and she accused the elder dragon of slaying her most precious friend, while grief clouded her thoughts. Meridia lamented with intensity and declared that life had turned cruel as she questioned how she could take a bath without Claria by her side. He reacted with confusion and repeated the word bath as he tried to understand her grief. Meridia forced herself to dismiss that outburst and urged that it be forgotten as she struggled to regain control over her emotions. She declared that striking down her proud right hand, the Dark Knight Claria, was an unforgivable offense, and her anger rose without restraint. She added that even an elder dragon would not be spared from such judgment, as her clenched fist carried the weight of her resolve. Meridia raised her fury and declared that he would come to feel the true depths of her wrath as her anger surged. Clarius stirred and called out in confusion as she questioned where she was. Meridia rushed toward her and realized that Claria still lived as relief broke through her anger, and she questioned her condition with urgent concern. He felt quiet relief at her awakening, while Olivia stayed close. Claria opened her eyes and addressed Meridia. She offered an apology and admitted that she had let her guard down as regret settled over her fragile state. Meridia trembled as tears fell, and she called Claria a fool while grief and relief mixed within her voice. Meridia held Claria close and confessed that all that mattered was her safety, as she admitted that losing her would bring an end to everything she held dear. He stood apart with Olivia and watched in silence as their bond unfolded before them. He raised his hand and offered an apology for interrupting as he addressed Meridia with careful respect. He explained that he had wanted to ask if she would allow them to move into her castle, and revealed that he had been speaking with Claria when she suddenly collapsed. Meridia listened while holding Claria close as concern remained in her gaze. Meridia's voice rose in outrage as she demanded how anyone could lack sense, and accused the Elder Dragon of intending to steal her castle from her. The Elder Dragon clarified the intention with calm certainty, as he denied any desire to take the castle and revealed that the wish was only to borrow it. He expressed the need for a place where a human could live. A quiet pause followed as her anger met stillness. Meridia asked that the child is a human then, and a quiet question lingers as the truth begins to settle. He answered with calm certainty and affirmed that truth. A brief pause followed as he gathered resolve, and that silence stirred unease within Claria while a faint blush touched his expression. He then revealed Olivia with quiet pride, and declared that she was his daughter as the truth fell. Meridia trembles as the truth strikes her heart, and lightning cracks through her fury while she clutches Claria. The distant castle stands beneath a dark sky as the words echo that Olivia is a daughter, and the weight of that revelation spreads across the silent night. Meridia stares in stunned disbelief as panic overtakes her thoughts, and she demands to know when he had been married while confusion deepens at never being invited to such a wedding. Meridia spirals deeper into wild confusion as she questions where they met and leaps to the conclusion that his wife must be human. She clings to that idea and declares it as an impossible yet dramatic truth as her imagination runs beyond control. He falters under her words and awkwardly denies any marriage as uncertainty colors his voice. He tries to explain that Olivia was found alone and that she grew up by herself before he brought her back with him. Claria trembles in Olivia's arms as weakness spreads through her body, and she confesses how awful it feels while tears fall without restraint. Olivia asks with worry if Claria is all right and wonders if pain remains anywhere as Claria answers with a weak voice that her heart aches and breath grows heavy. Meridia cries as tears fall, and she is called a good girl through trembling affection, and realizes that even after such hardship Claria still holds to politeness, and this thought stirs her deeply. Meridia clenches her resolve and calls out to Claria as she declares that the castle will be lent to the Elder Dragon, and her voice carries firm decision, shaped by concern. Claria looks on with surprise and asks if such a decision is truly certain, while Meridia affirms it without hesitation. Meridia declares with firm resolve that a single castle is a small price to secure the future of this child, and she adds that as long as space remains within the West Tower, nothing else matters to her, and her voice trembles. Meridia proclaims that her generosity shall be bestowed upon this child and her kind elder dragon, and Olivia gazes with shining emotion and calls Meridia a beautiful queen. Meridia adds with rising excitement that if the dreaded elder dragon of legend resides in her castle, then the greatest security system in the world will belong to her, and she laughs at her own cleverness, while Olivia remains uncertain and wonders about this strange idea of security. Meridia proclaims with bright pride that the human child and that elder dragon shall live within this castle from this day onward, and her decision stands firm. Olivia gazes with shining amazement and questions the truth of such fortune. Meridia answers Olivia with proud certainty. Olivia bursts with wonder as she realizes she may live in such a grand castle, and she imagines becoming like a princess while gratitude fills her voice, and Meridia accepts that gratitude with pleased confidence. Olivia wanders through the vast hall with quiet steps, and begins to wonder what it means to be a princess. Olivia leans forward with bright curiosity, and wonders if their status means they stand as two queens, or if they are instead princesses, as her innocent question reaches both Claria and Meridia. Meridia falters at the thought of being called a princess, and confusion shakes her voice as she struggles to respond. Claria gathers herself, and admits that such a title does not suit her, as she serves as a loyal knight, and though a distant past once tied her to the role of a princess knight, that time has long faded, and lets out a gentle sound as happiness colors her face, while Meridia holds her. He turns with an easy motion, and decides that it is time to return home, and Olivia answers with bright agreement. The sky trembles as ropes groan and stretch, and the world itself seems to shift under unseen force. Olivia bursts with delight and praises her father with shining admiration as she marvels at the sight of him carrying an entire castle, while Meridia cries out in shock and demands to know what madness unfolds. Meridia protests with rising disbelief as she realizes her castle is being carried away by ropes from the world tree, and she questions the sanity of such an act while Claria struggles to keep balance and reports with alarm that the castle has begun to fly as the ground falls away beneath them. The distant voice reflects that the others seem to be enjoying themselves, while far below the castle drifts through the sky carried by unseen force. Meridia cries out in panic and calls for Claria to hold steady while fear grips her, and she refuses to be left alone in such chaos. The tale concludes with simple certainty as this wild journey becomes the reason they gained a home. After returning the Dark Queen Castle to Olympias, the long effort begins as Olivia and her father devote an entire week to cleaning and restoring what was shaken by the journey, while the castle stands once more in quiet dignity. Olivia moves with quiet focus as she sweeps the floor with steady effort. She squeezes water from cloth and lets it fall in gentle drops as she keeps cleaning without pause. She continues her work as she wipes the surfaces and tends to every corner, while small sounds mark each careful movement. He watches in silence and reflects that Olivia is such a hard worker, while admiration settles within him. He reflects that even after living for thousands of years, Olivia surpasses him in cleaning by a vast margin, as every surface shines with brilliance. He watches Olivia with quiet wonder, and considers that she may be a genius while gentle admiration grows, and he finds her presence charming in a simple way. During the entire time spent restoring the castle, the Dark Queen and her knight remain unseen and never once emerge from the West Tower. Olivia calls to her father with gentle curiosity, while a quiet thought lingers that wonder remains about what rests inside the hidden place. He acknowledges that the shelves stand empty and confirms the simple truth while Olivia gazes at the space. He answers that the emptiness exists by design and reveals that the space before them will belong to Olivia as her own room. Olivia brightens with excitement and questions the promise while the answer unfolds that the empty shelves will be filled with books she loves little by little. Olivia shares her wishes with eager joy as she hopes for many books about the 6 sages of Rallis and picture books filled with many princesses. He assures her that space remains for many more things and the future holds room to grow. She wonders if the work in the room has ended. He expresses that the work is finished and praises Olivia as a great help. Olivia smiles with gentle joy and shares that cleaning together feels fun, while she recalls that in the past she had to do everything alone. He reacts with surprise as Olivia reveals she once cleaned with only her hands, and he questions the hardship behind such effort. Olivia quietly remembers how the broom and cloths fell apart, and how no one replaced them, as she remains surrounded by ruin and loneliness. He falls into brief silence as her past words echo that she once had to rely only on her hands, and the weight of it strikes him deeply. Sudden urgency breaks through as he calls Olivia with force, and in a swift motion, he throws himself forward. He faces Olivia with fierce devotion, and declares that he will do whatever it takes to make her happy, as his resolve burns with intensity. Olivia offers warm gratitude to him, and her smile carries simple joy as she calls him daddy. He follows behind her and promises that the room will be filled with many kinds of things, and every object will hold love and happy memories, while she declares that she will work hard on cleaning with eager spirit. He looks upon the room and envisions a distant future, where Olivia may leave this place to live among humans, yet he ensures that whenever pain or worry finds her, she can return to this home. Olivia calls out with lively energy and urges him to hurry as her small steps echo with excitement. He then acknowledges that only one place remains untouched and declares that the West Tower stands as the final space left. He reflects that the answer is clear and accepts that she truly did, while Olivia speaks with hesitation and reminds him that Meridia forbade anyone from going there. He considers the thought in silence and admits a wish to clean the place for them, since they were allowed to live within the castle, yet he concludes that their wishes must be respected because it is their home. He turns away from the silent hall and decides that they should go back, while Olivia accepts with a gentle agreement and follows beside him. A hidden mechanism rests unnoticed until Olivia reaches out and pulls it with innocent curiosity. Olivia runs ahead toward the strange door and calls for him, as she insists that he follows because the path feels wrong, yet her curiosity shines while she admires the green jewel and declares its beauty with bright wonder. He studies the door with quiet concern and reflects that it looks unusual and not like dark kin craft, while he senses something different. He accepts the oddity with a thoughtful murmur and affirms that the door indeed holds something unusual. He reflects on her statement and realizes that every door has indeed been opened except those within the West Tower. He looks upon the door and acknowledges that it is clearly locked as the barrier stands unmoved before them. Olivia fidgets with restless curiosity and asks if the door can be opened, while her hopeful voice reaches him with quiet insistence. He turns in slight confusion and answers with uncertainty, as he admits that he does not know. He then wonders if Meridio intends for them to stay out of that place. Her determination rises into a wish to see inside. Olivia gathers her courage and admits she will give it a try, while a small groan slips out. He presses his hand against the door and feels its weight as the wood resists and creaks, and he judges that it feels a bit heavy. He studies the strange door and senses something unnatural as his hand presses forward, and the door strains under pressure, and the door gives way with a crushing impact that opens the sealed path. He realizes the door has opened and accepts the result. Olivia lifts her arms in bright joy and celebrates his success with cheerful praise. Olivia steps toward the dark entrance and wonders what waits inside. Meridia rushes forward with hurried steps and urges them to wait again and again as her voice rises. He and Olivia turn toward her and recognize her presence, as Olivia identifies her as Miss Sheep, while curiosity softens the moment. Meridia rejects that name with fierce pride and declares her true identity as the Dark Queen Meridia, while her protest carries strong emotion. Meridia shifts with urgency and directs her concern toward him, as she calls him Elder Dragon, and reveals that she sensed the moment he opened the door. He receives it with quiet acceptance, while his attention remains steady on her presence. He admits with strained regret that he should not have touched it, as unease lingers across his expression. Meridia rejects that thought with firm insistence, as she declares that it is not the point. Meridia presses forward with restless energy and demands to know how the door was opened, as surprise fills her words, and she reveals that she left her comfortable bedroom behind just to witness this moment. He reveals with slight hesitation that he pushed on it a little, as uncertainty colors his admission. Meridia reacts with disbelief as she repeats that he pushed on it and cannot accept such simplicity, while she insists there is no way it was that easy. Meridia trembles with shock and confusion as breath falters and thoughts scatter, while she confesses that she has tried to break that seal for so long and still cannot understand it at all. He calls out to Claria with urgency and draws her attention as he announces that the library stands open, and his voice carries a firm echo through the hall. He reflects with quiet relief that she does not seem to mind, and a faint ease settles within him as silence answers his thought. Olivia brightens with delight and recalls that this place was meant to be a library and seeks confirmation from him, while hope shines through her words, and he affirms that it is true. Olivia rushes forward with bright excitement as she calls out that a library holds many books, and her long wish to see such a place finally comes alive, while he calls her name with rising concern as her small steps carry her toward the dark entrance. He calls for her to wait as worry sharpens his voice, and he reminds her that permission was never given, and uncertainty lingers as he admits that safety remains unknown. Her feet strike the ground with quick, eager rhythm as she moves deeper inside. Olivia bursts with excitement as she marvels at the countless books and declares the sight amazing, while joy shines through her words and her admiration for the endless shelves grows brighter. He gazes around with softened expression as he admits that it truly is incredible. He reflects with quiet thought that the Dark Queen held a deep love for reading, and the endless shelves now reveal a side once unseen. Olivia gazes upward with shining wonder as her curiosity grows. She expresses a bright desire to read those books. He answers with gentle promise that he will read them to her. He affirms with certainty, and her happiness blooms as she celebrates with pure delight, and the library becomes a place filled with shared days and gentle memories. Olivia wonders with bright curiosity how long it will take to read them all. He looks upon her with a gentle expression and acknowledges that it is a great question as quiet amusement softens his gaze. He reflects that there are far too many books within this vast place, and accepts that they will never finish them all before Olivia grows up, as the scale of it settles in his thoughts. Olivia softly calls for him, and her voice carries gentle affection. Olivia urges that they should hurry and go to ask Merdia. Olivia shares her idea that they should ask Merdia for permission to borrow her books, and her excitement grows as she imagines holding them. He agrees that it is a good idea, and adds that they should also ask what the books are meant for. He realizes that reading 2 books each day would become 14 in a week. He considers her words and reflects that even after a year there would still not be enough time. His quiet promise settles with steady warmth as long as Olivia remains there to listen. He holds a gentle resolve and decides that he will keep reading her books forever. Olivia wonders what they should do and asks how they can read more books while he admits that it sounds like a difficult problem. Merdia reveals that her library of grimoires once stood as her pride and joy as it held the history and knowledge of all dark kin magic, and her voice carries deep attachment to that treasured place. Merdia recalls that one day 1,000 years ago a group of heroes attacked this very castle, and the memory rises. Merdia remembers standing on the verge of defeat as she fought desperately to protect it while flames threatened everything she cherished, and those heroes sought to burn the library itself. Merdia confesses that she could not allow all that history to be destroyed, and she could not allow all that knowledge to be lost as her resolve burns stronger than the fire that once surrounded her. Merdu admits with a faint laugh that desperation had grown within her, and reveals that the library also held her secret collection of doujinshi. Olivia reacts with confusion at the mention of doujinshi. Merdia continues as she declares that she managed to halt the flames before they reached the library, and her words carry relief as the memory of destruction fades into control. Claria explains that in the aftermath the heroes managed to place a seal upon the library doors. He reflects that it sounds terrible, and the weight of her story settles around them. Claria explains that ever since that day Merdia has struggled to break the seal, and admits that even someone as wonderful and invincible as Merdia had been unable to disarm it, and yet the truth now stands before them. Merdia realizes that the door had been opened simply by pushing it, and her frustration bursts forth as she declares that such power must belong to an elder dragon, and she likens it to something that breaks all security with disbelief. He responds with quiet modesty and explains that living for a long time has made him slightly stronger than most, while adding that there is little worth praising, and he understands the meaning behind such talk of security. She proudly declares that her father is amazing while seeking agreement again and again. He brightens with delight and takes back every doubt as happiness fills him. Since that day, Olivia spends every spare moment within the library, and she is always found studying among the endless shelves as her quiet dedication grows. He notices that she truly loves reading and realizes that her excitement now reaches him as well while she eagerly shows a book about Vandersloot and proudly shares that she has found a book called Fundamentals of Magic as her joy shines through. Her love for study becomes clear. Meanwhile, he turns his attention to the kitchen and settles into a new task as he prepares himself for something different. He decides that he will try making a dish today and begins practicing cooking by using the cookbooks along with the castle kitchen. He opens the book and moves forward with purpose as he reaches the first step and reads that the vegetables must be cut into bite-sized chunks. He pauses and wonders what such a term truly means and questions how large bite-sized could be. He reflects that the library holds picture books and cookbooks and grimoires, and everything within it, and wonders if Merdia might also enjoy cooking. He continues working in the kitchen and slices the ingredients with steady care as his thoughts turn toward Olivia, and he wishes for her to try many kinds of food that he prepares. Olivia arrives and calls for him. He turns toward her and greets her warmly while asking if she has finished in the library for the day. Olivia hesitates and fidgets before admitting that it is not about the library this time. Olivia gathers her courage and asks if there is anything she can do to help, as she notices that he always prepares dinner alone. Olivia reflects on her own actions and realizes that she never helps at all and that she is always reading books in the library. He suddenly breaks into emotion and praises her as a good girl. He reassures her that everything is fine. Olivia accepted that reading books in the library belonged to her role, while he claimed making food as his own duty, and a quiet understanding formed between them. Olivia sought reassurance and heard certainty returned as real agreement, while doubt lingered within him, as he admitted a beginner could not keep her safe with knives and ovens, and simple dangers felt too great for his care. Olivia continues to insist that she wants to help, and her determination remains gentle yet firm. He considers the situation and wonders if the cleaning has already been finished. He reflects that such work is something she can handle on her own, and accepts that it is not too dangerous. Olivia reacts with sudden excitement as the idea takes shape. He pauses in thought, and then realizes a simple answer, as he suggests that the library has been closed for a long time, and proposes that airing out the books could be something she can do. Olivia holds on to each word as the meaning settles within her mind. He explains that the books should be laid somewhere the sun does not reach, yet a good breeze must pass over them, and he adds that this will keep them safe from mold stains or bugs. Airing out the books becomes a quiet question within Olivia, as she listens while he recalls reading about it in a book called Work Around the House. He answers with gentle agreement, as he admits it would help greatly if she could air out the books. Olivia lifts her voice with bright wonder, as she declares that Meridia too would be pleased, and hope rises within her small frame. Olivia bursts with joy as she accepts the task with all her strength and promises she will do her best. The days ahead form a quiet promise between them, as Olivia remains within the library, while he prepares meals in the castle kitchen, and their roles fall into a steady rhythm. He reveals with quiet pride that today he made oven-baked spring greens and a mushroom cheese pie, while gentle satisfaction lingers in his expression, and he adds that his special milk soup with honey rests beside them. He became carried away and prepared far too much while his thoughts rest on her absence. He notices that Olivia is late, though a quiet pause settles as the clock marks the passing time. He wonders if Olivia became lost within an interesting book, while a quiet decision forms that he will go and find her, and a passing thought reminds him that the meal should be eaten before it grows cold. Then his steps carry him through the corridor, as his voice reaches out to Olivia and invites her to come and share dinner. He calls out to Olivia as his steps carry him across the grand library, until he finds her surrounded by scattered books, and a soft realization comes that she is working. He watches Olivia with quiet amusement, and a fond thought forms that she is just as expected, and even endearing in her focus, while a soft murmur follows as Olivia begins a dramatic chant of an abyssal envoy being called forth, and her tone carries playful intent. He watches Olivia with quiet amusement, and a fond thought forms that she is just as expected, and even endearing in her focus, while a soft murmur follows as Olivia begins a dramatic chant of an abyssal envoy being called forth, and her tone carries playful intent. He turns with sudden confusion as the unfamiliar words reach her, and she questions the meaning of crimson depths and pale nadir. A chilling chant rises as the words call upon guiding threads and a wicked heart, and the command to reel her in repeats, while a dark swirling force answers and begins to gather. Olivia remains within the pull of that growing presence, as the strange magic surrounds her. He sees the danger at once, and calls out to Olivia in sharp alarm. Olivia turns at the sound of him, and recognizes him, while the dark aura still lingers around her. He reacts with sharp urgency, and tells her to stop reading at once, as he warns that the words are dangerous and should never be spoken. His thoughts race as he identifies the chant as an incantation used by dark kin, and he understands that it belongs to summoning magic. A dark creature emerges from the summing void, and its presence presses forward with sharp menace. Olivia stands caught within the swirling force, and confusion rises within her as the unknown form closes in. He moves without hesitation as urgency drives him forward, and his thoughts fix on protecting Olivia above all else while his voice commands her to stay still. A massive force crashes down with violent impact as he reveals his true form, and his body shifts into a great dragon. Olivia stands small before him as lesser creatures scatter near her feet, and the fear of the moment tightens, yet his towering form stands between her. He moves in a sweeping surge as his great form drives forward, and the smaller creatures are pushed back. He calls out an apology to the little spiders, even as he pushes them aside, and his intent remains clear as he asks them to stay away from Olivia. Olivia is held within the safety of his reach as her small sound breaks through the chaos, while he declares that she is his precious daughter. He restrains his power as he drives the creatures back and holds his strength in check, while he resolves to keep the heat from harming anything around Olivia. Claria rushes forward with urgency as her steps strike hard against the floor, and her voice rises in sharp demand as she questions what the two of them are doing. Meridia bursts with outrage as her voice rises in fierce protest, and she accuses him of intending to burn down her library, as well, while anger sharpens every word. Her thoughts turn bitter as she questions whether the world holds nothing but barbarians, and her pride in her treasured collection trembles under the threat before her. He sweeps forward in his great form as force surges around him, and he urges the little spiders to return to the dark realm. Olivia lowers herself and hides within her arms as the storm of motion surrounds her and fear presses close. Olivia stands close beneath him as scattered pages drift around her feet, and the chaos softens into quiet. Olivia looks up at him as confusion lingers, and she wonders what that moment was and questions what those spiders were. Claria exhales in relief as tension leaves her, and she notes that the children of Ariadne have been sent back to the dark realm without issue. Merja leans forward with sudden concern as she realizes Olivia had been below, and her thoughts shift at once to her treasured books, while worry rises over their condition. He lifts his great head with quiet confidence as he assures the Dark Queen that there is no need for worry. He affirms that nothing will burn unless he desires it, and his control stands absolute, while Olivia watches him in silence. A rush of wind follows as his vast form moves, and the air swirls around them. He gathers her close within his arms as relief settles after the fear, and he reflects that the moment nearly brought a heart-stopping shock. Olivia clings close to him as worry touches her voice, and she asks if he is angry, while her small form seeks comfort in his presence. He holds her gently, and admits the fault rests with him, as he recalls that he was the one who told her to air out the books. Merja turns with unease as realization forms, and she questions if Olivia was the one who used the summoning spell. Claria answers with composed certainty as she addresses her beautiful queen and confirms what now seems clear. Olivia rests in his arms and assures that she is unharmed, while she senses his concern and wonders what troubles. Merja presses the thought further as she questions how a human girl without magic power and unable to use mana could have performed such a spell. Meridia trembles as she realizes the grimoires within the library hold power beyond even most dark kin, and the weight of that truth presses on her mind, even if the spell once seemed simple. He reflects that he had been too careless, and the quiet admission lingers. He lowers his gaze as Olivia gently calls to him. Olivia smiles with bright innocence as she shares that the great surprise has left her hungry. He breathes out softly as remembrance settles, and he acknowledges her wish. He quietly accepts her words as truth, and the tension fades into a gentle resolve within him. Olivia brightens with eager joy as she declares that it is time for dinner, and her excitement carries warmth that reaches him. Olivia beams with delight as she shares her wish to see what he prepared this time. He breathes out softly as remembrance settles. He turns toward them and extends a gentle invitation as he asks if they would join for dinner, and his voice carries a calm warmth that reaches both Mergia and Claria. He gathers his thoughts and reveals with a faint smile that too much milk had gone into the soup. Mergia listens with surprise as the simple truth settles over her. Mergia gathers herself and offers that the invitation could be taken as an apology. Claria brightens with sudden delight as the thought of dinner fills her with excitement, and she expresses that it sounds wonderful. Olivia answers with pure joy as she declares that his cooking is truly delicious. Meredith hesitates yet yields as she admits that insistence leaves little room to refuse, and she allows the invitation to draw her closer, while Claria remains beside her. He accepts their presence with open approval, and his voice carries simple pleasure as he welcomes them to join. Claria embraces the moment with bright excitement and urges them forward toward dinner, while Olivia shares that her book teaches that meals are best when everyone gathers together. He regards them with quiet amusement and notes their deep interest in child-rearing knowledge, while he turns the moment into gentle teasing toward Merdia. Merdia leans forward with bright curiosity as she discovers the dish before her. Merdia joins with warm delight as she praises the taste and declares the meal to be wonderful, while Claria adds that the pie holds its own excellence for her queen. She listens as Olivia explains that the vegetables become even better. Olivia shares with gentle certainty that the vegetables taste even better when placed inside a sandwich. He listens to them and accepts their reactions as they discover the harmony of flavors, and their agreement forms as they declare the combination to be exquisite. Meredith reflects with growing admiration as she realizes that such skill belongs to an elder dragon, and her thoughts rise into praise for his cooking, and adds that such warmth must come from a father's love. He receives Olivia's praise as she declares his cooking wonderful and urges everyone to eat well, and her bright trust draws a soft agreement from Claria, who accepts with shy certainty. Meridia continues to eat as she reflects with quiet envy that Olivia enjoys such meals each day, and her thoughts linger on that gentle fortune. Olivia answers with playful laughter that carries light warmth. Olivia lifts her voice with eager energy as she asks for seconds, and her excitement spreads across the table. Meridia lifts her voice with sudden eagerness as she claims her desire for more, and her bold request follows Olivia's joy without hesitation. Claria softens with quiet agreement as she admits that more would be welcome. He watches them with a calm smile as he prepares to serve again. He reassures them with easy confidence that there is plenty of food prepared for the day. Meridia questions the abundance with disbelief as she wonders if such a meal was meant to feed a dragon. Olivia answers with bright certainty that she can eat a great deal, and her cheerful claim meets his quiet humor. From that day, the Dark Queen begins to leave her room in the West Tower with growing frequency, and her presence slowly joins their shared days. He pauses in quiet surprise as the thought reaches him that someone wishes to become Olivia's teacher. Meridia answers with firm resolve as she admits her fear of letting harm reach Olivia again within the library. Merja declares her intent to guide Olivia with personal lessons before danger can return, and their shared purpose settles into something unwavering. Claria supports the choice with steady belief, as she explains that those who hold power must learn discipline, and her words place dark kin and humans upon the same path. He accepts the exchange with quiet ease, as he acknowledges that such guidance would truly help. He admits with a faint smile that knowledge of human customs remains uncertain to him, and the honesty rests gently within his words. Merja responds with sharp insistence as her agreement rises quickly, and her frustration questions how such long years could pass without learning anything of humans. Claria exhales a weary sound as she admits that even they understand humans better than he does, and her words carry a quiet truth shaped by long years. Meridia continues with composed certainty as she recalls that dark kin and humans once shared friendship, though conflict has touched recent days, and her tone holds both memory. She presses further as she points to Olivia and reveals that Olivia has no friends yet, and her concern deepens as she explains that within the human world Olivia has already reached the age to begin school, while the weight of this truth strikes him and leaves him shaken. He lowers his gaze as uncertainty deepens, and he confesses that no clear answer comes to him. He falters beneath that pressure as he admits uncertain understanding, yet holds on to the small comfort that some knowledge remains. Meridia cuts through hesitation with firm insistence, as she declares that Olivia needs someone beyond him. He listens in silence as Meridia falters for a moment, and denies the thought that grimoires could guide such matters. She gathers herself and declares with rising confidence that she and Claria will take the role of instructors for Olivia, and her voice brightens as she adds that they will stand as Olivia friends as well. Olivia peeks through the dark doorway as quiet curiosity draws her forward, and her small voice wonders what is happening here. He turns toward Olivia with gentle ease and greets her presence, as he reveals that talk has settled on her future, and that Meridia will become her new teacher. Olivia repeats the thought of a new teacher, while curiosity lingers in her voice. Joy rises within Olivia as her eyes brighten, and she declares that both of them will play with her as excitement overflows. Meridia speaks with firm resolve, as she describes strict training that will guide Olivia to decode difficult texts within grimoires that hold the accumulated knowledge of dark kin, and she insists that this path is not meant for fun, but stands as true education. Olivia listens with shining curiosity as wonder fills her small voice, and she answers that such a path sounds fun. Olivia clings to her with bright insistence, and declares a wish to play too, and the clash between duty and innocence fills the space with restless energy. Meridia protests with rising frustration as she reminds them that this is not play, and questions whether her words are heard. The distant castle rests beyond the forest as quiet scenery follows the lively exchange. Meridia guides Olivia through careful study as she explains that the being she summons could bring danger, and that caution must remain while Olivia listens and learns how such creatures exist, and how control must be maintained, and the record of their days shows that the Dark Queen teaches her magic. Claria stands beside Olivia with a steady hand as she praises her progress, and instructs her to move her center of gravity with care, and to follow each motion with purpose, and their time together shapes her skill in swordsmanship and martial discipline. Gentler moments follow as hands gather Olivia hair, and consider whether a thick ribbon or a thin ribbon would suit her better, and a soft decision settles on the thin ribbon as her beauty is quietly admired. Claria and Meridia complete their careful work as they declare it finished, and their hands rest with quiet pride, while Olivia stands adorned with a small crown and gentle care surrounds her presence. Claria and Meridia overflow with delight as they cling close and praise how perfectly the outfit suits Olivia, and they confess that her appearance reminds them of their queen in her youth. Olivia looks up with gentle curiosity as she wonders if the clothes belong to Meridia, and the answer reveals that they come from a distant past. Memories unfold within the room as they recall how the queen once wore them in her younger days, and how adorable she had been, and they see Olivia now as a small princess. He presents the next idea as he considers letting Olivia wear his knight armor, and the thought joins their growing plans for her. Meridia declares that Claria will place the dress upon Olivia and shape her into a true princess knight, and Claria answers with firm approval. A wish forms that Olivia might have known such closeness as sisters, and that life would have carried the same warmth for her. He announces that snacks have arrived for everyone as he presents them with gentle pride, and Olivia responds with bright joy as celebration rises within her. Claria offers praise toward him as she honors his effort, and Olivia receives the moment with delight. He reflects that the snacks were received well today, and the thought leads him toward tomorrow, as he wonders what he should prepare next. He admits that more time is now spent in human form, and that returning to a dragon form has become rare as this life quietly settles around him. He calls to Olivia and tells her that bedtime is near while his care continues, as he shares that reading books to her still remains part of their nights. Olivia expresses a wish to read a certain book for today, and shares that Meridia cannot read it, which leaves the task to him. He reacts with quiet realization as he understands the situation, and reflects that progress had not been made while trying to understand the books within the library. Olivia wonders if the truth could be real as he explains that the text is written in ancient Arial, and that this is the reason Meridia cannot read it, while she learns that the language is truly old. He continues that the language faded away thousands of years ago, and Olivia questions if it is older than the 6 sages of Realis, while he affirms that it is far older. He responds with gentle acceptance, and offers to begin teaching her. Olivia expresses joy at studying together, and declares a wish to learn. He explains that in ancient Arial each symbol carries its own meaning, and guides her through an example where a symbol represents beginning, and within the phrase the beginning of the day it becomes morning. Olivia admires him, and calls him smart, which softens the lesson into warmth as learning continues. Peaceful days continue for a time as Olivia grows steadily, becoming smarter, stronger, and more beautiful, while he watches over her with quiet pride. The passing days lead forward until a sudden shift approaches, and one day arrives. Her heart pounds heavily as she draws closer while he remains resting in silence beneath the arch. Olivia peeks from the doorway and wonders what is happening here. Her small steps move forward in quiet rhythm as her heartbeat grows louder with each step toward him. Olivia moves close and presses a sudden kiss against him as his expression freezes in shock and confusion. His gaze trembles with disbelief as the moment strikes deeply and leaves him unable to respond. He calls out Olivia in sudden shock as her name escapes him with broken breath. He reacts in stunned disbelief as the question of a kiss rises sharply within him and leaves him shaken. Olivia lifts the fabric with bright delight and calls for him to look as she laughs softly in playful pride. Olivia twirls with joy and declares herself a bride as happiness shines through her and fills the space between them. His thoughts drift with mild confusion as he notices that she has wrapped herself in a simple sheet and wonders if those are lace curtains. He softens and accepts her joy as he acknowledges that she appears as a bride and that the look suits her well. Olivia seeks his approval with bright hope as she asks if it is truly so and waits for his answer with quiet excitement. Olivia brightens and gives thanks with open joy as relief fills her small voice. He leans closer and asks why and what is going on as his voice carries quiet concern. She turns to him with certainty and calls him daddy as she reveals that she has decided something important. Olivia beams with bright joy as she declares that when she grows older she will marry him and become his bride, her small hands lifting the dress. He stands still as the meaning reaches him slowly, and his gaze lingers on her with quiet shock. Olivia shares that she reads many books in the library, and her voice carries simple pride. She speaks of a bride and wonders about being married as the thought grows closer to her heart and turns gently toward him. She recalls that when a prince and a princess become married, they live happily ever after, and she accepts that truth with quiet belief. He reflects that it is common for young girls to wish to marry their father, and remembers those words from books as understanding slowly settles within him. Olivia lifts her voice with bright certainty as she declares that she will marry him, and her joy shines without doubt. He becomes quiet and calls her name as hesitation appears, and the weight of her words moves his heart. He answers with gentle honesty as he shares that her feelings bring him happiness, yet he explains that she and him cannot be married. Olivia looks at him in confusion as she questions why not, and her voice carries simple disbelief. He answers with quiet certainty as he reveals that the reason rests in the bond between them, and he is her father. Olivia lowers her gaze and accepts his words as she repeats the reason and understands that she cannot marry him because he is her father. He answers with calm certainty and affirms that truth while explaining that humans cannot marry their own fathers. Olivia holds onto her question and wonders why not, his doubt lingers within her small voice. He admits that her question holds weight and confesses that being a dragon leaves him without full understanding of humans, while he still offers what he knows. He explains that such bonds follow a different path among most creatures. He hesitates and searches for an answer as uncertainty settles over him. Olivia grows quiet as the question forms within her, and she wonders if a day will come. He falls into silence as the thought of her belonging to someone unknown lingers within him. He pulls her close and calls her name as urgency rises, and he confesses that he cannot be her husband. He holds onto her gently as his voice softens, and he promises that he will always remain by her side in the way that only he can be. Olivia looks up at him and calls him daddy as concern begins to rise within her. She studies his face and asks if something is wrong and wonders if he is hurt as worry fills her small voice. He pauses in confusion as he notices the tears and questions why they fall from him, while the drops continue, and he finds it strange. Tears fall from him as he struggles to hold himself together, and Olivia looks at him with concern as she asks if he is all right and realizes that he is crying. He wonders how much longer Olivia will remain by his side as the question lingers deep within his heart. He reflects that as a dragon their time together may pass in a fleeting instant. He lowers himself closer to her and calls her name as emotion gathers within him, and his voice carries a fragile tenderness. He could not become her husband, yet he held a quiet promise that would not fade, and he bound it to forever no matter what path awaited them. He vowed that he would always remain at her side. He spoke of a distant future where she might grow and leave, and meet someone unknown yet still find a life beyond him. He held her close and confessed that his wish would always follow her toward happiness. She answered with a simple acceptance. He speaks through tears and promises that no matter how many decades, centuries, or millennia pass, he will always be her father. Olivia lets out a small sound as his hand moves gently through her hair, and she answers with certainty that she already knows that truth, and accepts it with a bright voice. He affirms that truth, and declares that he will always be her father, and holds to that promise even if Olivia puts this life behind her someday. Olivia looks at him, and asks why something feels wrong, and questions if he is truly all right. He answers that he is fine and steadies himself as he gives her that reassurance. Those peaceful days continued for years. He reflects that their life together had been almost too peaceful, and within that calm he failed to see something important as time quietly passed. He realizes that he had completely overlooked how strong Olivia's resolve had become, and how firmly her heart had begun to move towards something beyond his sight.
5 years had passed since Olivia became the dragon's daughter. The dragon used his magic to keep their home warm because the weather at the foot of the mountain had become bitterly cold. The frozen landscape reminded the dragon of the day Olivia had walked through the harsh weather wearing nothing but torn rags. That painful memory refused to fade from his heart. The dragon looked ahead with unwavering resolve and vowed that Olivia would never suffer from the cold again. Changing the weather was an easy task for someone with the power of an ancient dragon. Clauria greeted the dragon with a gentle smile and offered him a good morning. The dragon welcomed Clauria with the same warmth and wished her a good morning in return. Clauria noticed the dragon preparing breakfast and mentioned that the Dark Queen's ginger cookies could be found on the shelf if he was searching for them. The dragon gently dismissed the suggestion because those cookies were not the reason for his visit. Clauria gathered her thoughts and revealed that she and Merdia had been discussing something important. Their wish was to celebrate Olivia's birthday together this year. The dragon repeated the word birthday in quiet surprise because the meaning of that day had never crossed his mind before. He fell silent because the thought of Olivia's birthday left him without an answer. Clauria looked at him with growing disbelief. Clauria cried out in complete shock because he had never celebrated Olivia's birthday. Olivia's birthday simply meant the day she was born, and that was the only meaning he had ever given it. He hesitated before admitting that he had lived since long before calendars were ever invented. He looked at Clauria with uncertainty and wondered if a birthday was truly that important. Clauria could only answer that a birthday was the most important event in a human's life, and her heartfelt words left him speechless. Merdia froze in disbelief before crying out in complete shock because the dragon had truly never celebrated Olivia's birthday. He quietly admitted that no celebration had ever taken place. He could only let out a hesitant reply while Clauria stood speechless. Merdia staggered in disbelief because the thought that a human child's birthday had been ignored felt far too cruel. Clauria confessed that both of them had always believed he had celebrated Olivia's birthday in private every year until now. Merdia hurried back with a towering stack of books and dropped them before him. Every volume was pushed toward him because the dragon needed to read them all at once. He looked at the mountain of books with surprise and quietly wondered if they were picture books. Merdia immediately dismissed that thought and urged the dragon to stop asking questions and simply read every single one. He opened the first book and found a story about a child waiting for tomorrow with endless excitement because tomorrow would be a birthday. The child looked forward to delicious food, a cute cake, and the best of all wonderful presents. The next page showed the child dreaming about many presents. The child happily wondered what kind of gifts a loving father would prepare for that birthday. He realized that he had made a terrible mistake and quietly admitted that he had truly messed up. He believed those books must have been left out from everything he had already read because their importance had seemed too obvious to notice. He tried to understand how this had happened. Olivia had never asked him to read books like those. Clauria could not hide her disappointment and wondered how he could have been so thoughtless. Merdia considered another possibility and believed someone might have intentionally kept those books away from him. He quickly accepted the idea and understood that Olivia needed a huge birthday party this year. He became flustered because he had no idea what he should do. He quietly agreed at first, but another problem soon came to mind. Olivia had been abandoned by her family, so nobody knew the exact day she was born. The dragon admitted that he did not know Olivia's birthday because nobody had ever told him the day she was born. Clauria remembered that Olivia had recently told her liege that her birthday was almost here. Merdia believed Olivia's birthday was probably the day of the spring festival. He looked at both of them in surprise as hope suddenly appeared. He looked at the book with confusion. The book explained that the Spring's Near Festival was a celebration held by humans to welcome the coming of spring. He quietly wondered about the Spring's Near Festival because he still did not understand it. Clauria happily confirmed that his understanding was correct and revealed that the festival would begin in only 3 days. Merdia stepped forward with great excitement and proudly called out to him. She immediately declared the creation of the Olivia's Birthday Party Alliance. Clauria happily proposed that Olivia should receive a fantastic birthday party this year. Merdia quickly agreed and declared that everything had been decided. He could only give a hesitant reply. He accepted their determination and made a firm promise. Olivia would have a birthday party grand enough to make up for every birthday that had been missed. That night Merdia called the dragon over because an important lesson about birthday parties had to begin. Merdia explained that every proper birthday party needed 4 essential things. Merdia raised the first requirement and declared that the party needed a beautiful cake. The next requirement quickly followed because a birthday party also needed delicious food, and announced that the party also needed wonderful decorations to fill the celebration with happiness. Above everything else, Olivia needed birthday presents. He accepted the plan because preparing the food and the cake would be easy enough. He turned the page and began thinking about the decorations. Merdia and Clauria smiled with satisfaction. He wondered if bringing some of the jewels from his shrine would be enough, because he had tons of them. Merdia cried out in disbelief and wondered how the dragon could be so ignorant. Clauria believed something more mundane would be appropriate. Merdia suggested using chains of paper rings because they were perfect decorations for a birthday party. Clauria happily added that some decorative stars would also be good and believed they would make the party even more beautiful. He quietly accepted the suggestion and understood that the decorations should be left to Merdia and Clauria. Clauria proudly admitted that making paper chains was one of her Merdia. The dragon could only nod and quietly accepted their help. While Merdia and Clauria prepared the decorations, the dragon had to find a present for Olivia. He sat alone beneath the night sky and thought about Olivia's birthday present. The truth was simple because many people had offered tribute to him over the years, but he had never given anyone a present. Even then, the responsibility of choosing a present felt so great that he still did not know what to do. He gazed at the moon and thought that it looked so big and pretty tonight. He quietly thought about Olivia's birthday and realized that finding a present for her was far more difficult than expected. He wondered what on earth he could give Olivia because nothing seemed worthy of becoming her birthday present. He imagined choosing something for himself instead, because that would have been much easier. He remembered that even a single flower from Olivia would make him happy. Even so, he believed a present for a human's birthday should be something truly special. He rose to his feet with quiet determination and stepped away from the shrine. A soft breath escaped as he prepared to search for something worthy of Olivia. He looked at the countless treasures humans had given him over the ages. Those were the things humans had offered him, but none of them felt right as Olivia's birthday present. He looked over the countless treasures and remembered that people had given him all sorts of things long ago. Even so, none of them felt right for Olivia. He picked up a sword and considered whether it could become Olivia's birthday present. After thinking it over, he concluded that it did not feel like a great birthday present. He decided that buying something from humans would be a better choice because humans needed money to buy things. For now, he would take some of those coins and begin searching for the perfect present. He gathered several coins into his hand as they clinked together. The weight of the responsibility remained in his heart because he still was not sure what he should do. He looked at the coins and wondered what a human father would give to his daughter. Finding the right answer felt harder than gathering any amount of treasure. He remembered Olivia's bright smile as she happily called him daddy. He wished to find something that would make her happy. If possible, he also wanted it to be something that would help her grow up healthy. A sudden sound echoed through the quiet night. He immediately turned toward the sound because something had caught his attention. He looked toward the object that had caught his attention. A small black gem rested on the ground and quietly reflected the moonlight. The sight of the black gem awakened an old memory. He remembered a little girl happily reaching out toward the same beautiful gem with innocent delight. He gently picked up the gem and quietly examined it. He remained silent as one thought slowly filled his heart. He smiled with certainty because he had finally found the perfect birthday present for Olivia. Merdia laughed happily and called out to Clauria. She instructed Clauria to move more to the right because the decorations needed to be placed there. Clauria carefully adjusted the decorations and asked if the position looked like that. Merdia happily approved the placement and praised Clauria because it looked perfect. Merdia eagerly asked for another small adjustment. Clauria followed the instruction exactly and moved it just like that. The dragon watched the lively scene with surprise while Merdia remained perched on his shoulders. He politely asked Merdia not to make sounds like that while sitting on his shoulders. Dragon quietly admired the room and found that they were so pretty. Dragon realized that this was what mundane decorations looked like. Merdia called Elder Dragon and wondered what took him so long. She proudly declared that the room looked fantastic and asked if it did not. She believed it was a perfect demonstration of her skill. Dragon remembered that Miss Dark Queen's birthday was tomorrow and asked if that was right. Merdia fell silent for a moment. She then wondered if it would spoil the surprise if Olivia saw all this during dinner tonight. Merdia realized Olivia's birthday was tomorrow. Clauria accepted it was fine because everything had only been a dress rehearsal for the Dark Queen. Merdia realized all the work had been for nothing. She accepted it as a dress rehearsal and urged Clauria to hurry and get everything cleaned up. Clauria accepted the order as the Dark Queen and Dragon joined them. Merdia reminded her that she had been the one who suggested starting the decorations. Clauria admitted the mistake and offered an apology because everything had become a little careless. He looked around and realized the decorations were well in hand. Dragon thanked them both very much for everything they had done. Merdia accepted the answer because no effort was too great and everything had been worth it. Then all that was left was the birthday present. Merdia asked whether he had found a present. Dragon answered that everything was ready. He asked how everything looked. Merdia answered that the cake and the food were next as books landed before him. She found some good options for him. Delicious cakes for novice cooks became one choice. Desserts to make with kids became another choice. The fairy tale sweets book also became one of the options. He thanked her. He admitted never making cakes like those before and hoped everything would go well. Merdia told him not to fret because all of those books were for beginners. She asked Elder Dragon how those recipes were going. He finished the baking. He explained that the small ginger cookies had been made in the amount she requested. Merdia praised the result as fantastic work. He also felt they looked too small. Merdia asked why so many cookies had been made. He accepted the answer and understood. Merdia decided that Dragon should make one of those cakes next, because Dragon had already gotten the size right. She decided that he should make one of those cakes next, because he had already gotten the size right. He asked whether Merdia did not want one of the fancier cakes. She answered that the cake Dragon had already been shown was the correct one. Dragon still hesitated. Merdia told him there was no need to fear. She confidently declared that everything should be left to her and tomorrow's party would be a blast. She praised the sweet smell and declared it great. She believed he could become a professional baker. Dragon wondered whether that was really true. He suddenly heard Olivia's voice. Olivia happily called him. He froze in surprise when Olivia appeared. He could only stammer Olivia's name. She smiled and asked what everyone was doing. He insisted that nothing was happening. He reminded Olivia that it was 5 in the morning and far too early for Olivia to be awake. He hoped Olivia understood. Olivia cried out in confusion as Merdia carried her away. He cheerfully urged Olivia to come back to bed and invited Olivia to go. Olivia pouted with a small humph. He remembered asking someone to keep Olivia away from that place. He let out a sigh, then laughed and apologized. He reflected that the cake base was finally finished. Merdia wondered about the base. She declared that the rest could be left to her. He noticed that the decorations still needed attention. She assured him that everything would be fine. Dragon accepted those words, yet remembered that Olivia's present still needed to be picked up. He admitted that was true, yet another concern remained. She realized Dragon was still worried. She reminded him that only half of the food preparations had been completed. She pointed out that Dragon had to collect Olivia's present anyway. She urged Dragon not to worry about anything. Merdia insisted that Claudia would handle the rest because the cake only needed to be placed inside the oven. Dragon slowly accepted those words as Merdia gently pushed him toward the door. She added another reason. She reminded Dragon that Olivia's present arriving late would become a disaster. He immediately realized the truth and accepted that Merdia was right. He expressed deep gratitude and promised to return soon. He transformed into the form of a dragon and soared into the sky with powerful wings. He flew across the sky while carrying Olivia's present. Dragon felt relieved after leaving the remaining preparations to Merdia. He realized that the present had barely been collected in time for Olivia. Dragon admitted that the rushed schedule had been caused by Dragon's own poor planning. He remembered Meridia's promise that the remaining preparations should already be finished by now. Both of them had taken responsibility for everything that remained. He realized that Olivia was about to leave the library because lunchtime was drawing near. He resolved to hurry without delay. He rushed forward with great speed while holding Olivia's present close. He crossed the open grounds in a swift blur as powerful momentum carried every movement forward. He paused before the entrance and quietly rehearsed the words that would become Olivia's birthday greeting. He repeated the greeting once more and sought reassurance before accepting that everything was ready. He steadied every breath and gathered enough resolve to move forward. He quietly encouraged personal resolve before stepping inside. He hurried through the hall as every heartbeat grew louder with each step. He called out that Dragon had returned and began to apologize for taking so long. Claudia and Merdia welcomed Dragon back with bright smiles as Olivia happily called Dragon Daddy and wished Dragon a happy birthday. Colorful confetti burst through the air while Olivia celebrated with joyful laughter. Dragon stood frozen while a quiet breath escaped him, and only a puzzled sound remained as confusion filled his thoughts. Olivia smiled with gentle warmth while she wished him a happy birthday and the unexpected greeting struck him with complete surprise until disbelief filled his expression. Merdia raised a cheerful victory sign, while joyful laughter revealed that Operation Elder Dragon Birthday Party had become a great success. Olivia smiled with quiet pride while she wondered whether the surprise had worked, and revealed that the spell had been practiced many times until it could be performed perfectly. He stood in silence while uncertain words slowly emerged and revealed that something still remained unsaid. Olivia smiled with heartfelt joy while revealing that the celebration had been prepared because she wanted to celebrate his birthday, and she had asked Merdia and Clauria to help make everything possible. He quietly repeated the words about his birthday, while disbelief filled his thoughts because he was a dragon who had lived since long before calendars existed, and there was no possible way anyone could truly know his birthday. Olivia gently revealed that today was the spring's near festival. He quietly wondered why Olivia believed that today was his birthday, while gentle confusion lingered across his face. Olivia smiled with quiet warmth and asked whether Dragon remembered that special day. Olivia gently revealed that the spring's near festival was never only a holiday, because it also marked the day when him and Olivia became a family. He quietly listened while Olivia explained that people decorated their homes for the festival. He slowly remembered that decorations had filled the doors long ago, and gentle surprise stirred within him, and enjoyed delicious food with cakes because it was a joyful day. He lowered his gaze while revealing that such celebrations had never belonged to him, and he had never once celebrated the festival. He smiled with quiet warmth while remembering that very day, because the greatest celebration of all had begun when Dragon embraced Olivia and promised to become her father, and that precious memory had become the happiest celebration in his life. He realizing that today had become his birthday because it was the day Olivia became his daughter, and that precious bond meant more than any forgotten date. Olivia smiled with endless happiness while revealing that she had thought about it for a long time and decided that today should also become his birthday, because the day a wonderful dragon became her father was the happiest day of her life. She revealed that she had asked Merdia and Clauria about Dragon's birthday. They admitted that there had been no way to figure it out. She gently added that she definitely remembered the day Dragon became daddy. She warmly concluded that this made today Dragon's birthday. She smiled with pure happiness while declaring that today was the day Daddy and his daughter were born. She happily celebrated that the day had become both of their birthdays. She revealed that she wanted to celebrate Dragon's birthday. She admitted that she had no idea when Dragon's birthday was. She revealed that she had spent a long time thinking about it. He softly called Olivia's name, as Olivia suddenly embraced him with a warm hug. She laughed happily and apologized because it had taken so long. He embraced Olivia while Olivia remained close against him. Merdia laughed with delight after calling the sight beautiful. Dragon agreed that the moment truly was wonderful. She urged Olivia that the time had come to do it. Clauria admitted that was not everything they had prepared. Olivia accepted with a bright smile and stepped forward. She gently called for Dragon to look at her. Dragon slowly lifted his gaze toward her while his heart remained full from the surprise. He turned toward the display before him while surprise quietly filled his expression. Olivia revealed that she and Merdia had made everything together. He stood before the grand cake while Olivia and Merdia remained close beside him. He continued gazing at the magnificent cake while quiet amazement remained across his face. The remarkable creation rested on the decorated table as he silently admired the heartfelt present prepared for his birthday. Dragon quietly revealed that this was the cake he had made. Olivia explained that all the little cookies had been used to decorate the cake he had baked. Merdia proudly declared that the result was incredible. She happily presented the handmade sugar doll. She proudly declared that the doll was Olivia. She proudly revealed that she had also made Dragon figure too. Clauria presented the small addition with quiet pride. Brilliant fireworks burst across the celebration and filled the festive hall with bright colors as the joyful surprise continued. The warm celebration surrounded Dragon as Olivia called Dragon Daddy. Merdia happily called Dragon Elder Dragon. Clauria respectfully called Dragon Sir as well. Olivia and everyone warmly wished Dragon a happy birthday. Dragon quietly looked at everyone while a single thought filled Dragon's heart that this truly was a birthday party. The heartfelt words carried every feeling that Dragon could no longer keep hidden. He looked at Olivia and Merdia and Clauria with gratitude. Dragon thanked Olivia as well. He wiped away the tears from his face and admitted that he had believed the celebration would be for Olivia's birthday. He gently called Olivia's name while warm gratitude filled his heart. He revealed that Dragon also had a present for Olivia. She looked at him with surprise and happily wondered if he truly had a present. He held out the small gift wrapped with a ribbon and wished Olivia a happy birthday. He gently encouraged her to go ahead and open the present. Olivia gazed at the gift with shining excitement while surprise filled her face. The precious jewel from that treasured memory rested before her as he quietly watched her joyful reaction. He smiled warmly and asked whether she remembered. He reminded her that the jewel came from the time her first came to live with him. He recalled that Olivia had found the jewel in a pile of treasure and had said the jewel looked like Dragon's eyes. He remembered that day when Olivia had looked at the jewel and thought it might become a good luck charm for him. She happily told Dragon to look while proudly holding the jewel in small hands. Dragon remembered taking Olivia to town and asking a jeweler to make something that would suit her. When her father pleaded for the work to be finished within 2 days because the gift had to be ready for her, Olivia recognized the brooch as something that looked just like Dragon's eyes. She accepted Dragon with overflowing happiness because the gift felt amazing, and Olivia thanked Daddy with all her heart. Merdia declared that all that remained was the food and proudly announced the feast was ready. The table became filled with delicious dishes as the birthday celebration prepared by Olivia, Merdia, and Claudia continued with warmth and joy. Olivia happily held the plate toward him and proudly showed the pie she wanted him to taste first. He looked at the birthday cake, while Merdia stood beside him with a satisfied smile, and he quietly accepted the warm celebration prepared for him. Olivia enjoyed every bite with a bright smile while Merdia and Claudia watched beside her, and the birthday feast continued with cheerful happiness. Claudia reminding him that as the birthday boy Dragon had to remember something. Winter passed and spring came. Olivia's favorite pink flowers began to bloom. A new year was starting. This was a short story from a little before the dragon became good at cooking. Merdia looked at the oven mitts and wondered what oven mitts were. He explained that humans wore those things on their hands while cooking so they could pick up hot things. He also remembered there was supposed to be a burnt-out pear in the kitchen. Merdia finally realized they were those items. She wondered what those things were needed for, because even if she held the hot part of the pan, nothing would hurt a dragon at all. Dragon admitted that was true. Dragon then realized that was not the case for Olivia. One of his books stated that human children learned by watching their parents. He suddenly realized that if Olivia saw Merdia doing that, then Olivia might try to touch a hot pan with her bare hands. Merdia immediately declared that he was right because oven mitts were super important. She urged Elder Dragon to start looking for them. Dragon wondered about the oven mitts and tried to remember them from long ago. Dragon could not remember where they had gone and thought maybe new ones could be found in town. Claudia admitted that finding oven mitts in town was probably possible, but she remained thoughtful about the matter. She suggested making a pair of oven mitts themselves. He reacted with surprise and wondered whether that would be difficult. She assured him not to worry because making them only required sewing 2 pieces of cloth together. She carefully cut the cloth into shape and began preparing the pieces needed for the oven mitts. She happily worked on the oven mitts while Dragon and Merdia quietly watched the sewing process with growing interest. Claudia proudly declared that she had done it after finishing the oven mitts. He admired the oven mitts because they looked pretty good. Merdia and Claudia happily watched his reaction. Olivia wanted to try them too. Dragon refused because it was too dangerous. The oven mitts became very useful, and he made good use of them. The days quietly passed by until Olivia's 9th birthday would soon be upon them. Dragon looked through one of the books that Olivia liked while wondering what gift should be prepared for her this year. He remained lost in thought as every page was carefully turned. Olivia softly called Daddy. He immediately lifted his head and gently asked what was the matter. Olivia shyly admitted that she wanted to ask something. He looked at her with quiet curiosity and gently asked what her wanted to ask about. Olivia hesitated for a brief moment before quietly bringing up her birthday. He gently told her that a big birthday party would be held that year as well. She quietly gave a short reply with a simple agreement while he noticed her unusual silence and softly asked if something was wrong. She could only hesitate as uncertain words slowly escaped while gathering the courage to continue. He looked at her with quiet concern and gently asked whether there was anything Olivia wished for on her birthday. A quiet realization then crossed her mind as the thought came that Olivia was turning 9, and perhaps there was something special that Olivia truly wanted. Olivia remained silent while quietly looking ahead. He patiently encouraged her to speak and promised that any treasure in the world would be found for her. She quietly answered with a hesitant yes, while still struggling to gather the courage to reveal the wish hidden in her heart. He waited with a gentle smile while Olivia softly hesitated and searched for the right words. She slowly admitted that her 9th birthday was drawing near. He fell into silent surprise as Olivia finally revealed that the wish for her 9th birthday was not a precious treasure, but the chance to try going to school. Dragon remained silent after hearing Olivia's wish and could no longer keep his human form. His body returned to the form of a dragon, while only quiet silence remained around him. Claudia found Dragon resting in his dragon form and gently asked what had happened and why Dragon was no longer in his human form. Dragon could only let out a weary sound before quietly repeating that Olivia had spoken. Claudia explained that Olivia had been searching for Dragon. Dragon remained lost in thought as Olivia's words continued to echo within his heart. Merdia looked at Dragon with growing confusion and wondered whether Dragon and Olivia had argued. He struggled to find the words as Olivia's wish echoed again and again. Dragon could only repeat that she wanted something while a quiet sniffle escaped, and Merdia listened with growing confusion. He finally cried out that Olivia wanted to go to school. Claudia quietly accepted the truth and realized that Olivia wished to attend school. Merdia could only repeat that Olivia wanted to go to school, while Claudia remained quietly surprised beside her. She admitted that going to school was normal for human children. Dragon let out a troubled sigh and admitted that the matter had been mentioned before. He quietly understood that truth, but still could not bring himself to accept it. He suddenly imagined that if Olivia went to school, something terrible might happen to her. Merdia immediately agreed with dramatic concern and feared countless dangers could be waiting for Olivia. Merdia imagined that Olivia's life might even turn into a school romance story while becoming completely absorbed in the thought. Merdia cleared her throat to interrupt the wild imagination and reminded everyone that Olivia was a clever child who would surely learn everything taught at school very quickly. Claudia admitted that Olivia had effortlessly mastered every martial arts skill that Dragon had taught her. She then concluded that Olivia had no need for school as far as studies were concerned. He quietly acknowledged those words and answered that it was true. However, another matter still remained. Merdia gently explained that humans truly needed friends their own age. They realized that every one of them was ancient from a human perspective, and none of them could truly replace companions of Olivia's own generation. Merdia sadly wondered whether Olivia would become lonely if she went to school. She quietly admitted that Olivia would still feel very, very lonely without friends of the same age. Claudia reassured Merdia not to fear because as unworthy as she might be, she would always remain by her side. Dragon let out a weary groan, while Merdia thanked Claudia from the bottom of her heart and admitted that she already knew. Merdia gently explained that Claudia's reassurance was not the real problem. He imagined that if Olivia started going to school, she would make friends there, and she would have someone to play with besides him. The thought quietly filled his heart with unease as he imagined Olivia growing closer to children of her own age. He finally confessed that he simply wanted Olivia to stay with him forever. Merdia sadly admitted that even so it was what was best for Olivia. She then asked him what should be done. He quietly reflected that Olivia was human after all and admitted that there was only one choice. He finally accepted that Olivia should live among other humans. He believed she should make friends and spend her days surrounded by happiness because that was the life Olivia truly deserved. He spent the next week reading everything he could find about human schools. He searched for a place where Olivia could enjoy learning and a place where she would always be safe. They devoted a great deal of time to searching for the perfect school for Olivia. They carefully compared every choice while hoping to find the place that suited her best. He remained determined to find the best place possible. Nothing mattered more than giving Olivia a future where she could learn happily and live in safety. Dragon discovered the Florence Royal Academy for Girls. He learned that the academy would soon hold a special entrance examination for 10-year-old applicants and immediately paused to consider it more carefully. Merdia tried to stay reasonable and wondered whether Olivia could truly gain admission to such a prestigious academy. Merdia discovered that the academy accepted only 1% of its applicants. Claudia pointed out that the academy required mandatory boarding and a strict entrance examination because those rules were meant to keep suspicious people away. Claudia noted that Olivia was only 9 years old. Claudia explained that enforcing the use of dormitories would keep the students much safer. She added that walking to school would be difficult for a human, and living in the dormitory would remove the need for Olivia to return home late at night. He quietly agreed with her reasoning, while Merdia also accepted her conclusion. She suggested that Olivia should also apply to other schools as insurance. He immediately worried that Olivia might only be accepted by schools they could not fully trust. Merdia anxiously asked Claudia what they were supposed to do. Claudia questioned how Olivia could be sent to only one school. Merdia quickly realized Claudia's point and immediately agreed with her concern. Claudia declared that the solution was simple. She firmly insisted that Olivia had to be thoroughly prepared for the entrance examination. Claudia decided that they would begin by reviewing the previous entrance examinations. Merdia quickly realized that the questions covered current events and admitted that she would have to study them as well. Dragon quietly realized that entering a human school would be far more difficult than expected. Claudia requested books covering the last century of human history, while Dragon agreed to obtain them by the following day. Dragon also admitted that they would need many more materials before Olivia could face the examination with confidence. Olivia quietly realized that living at the Florence Royal Academy for Girls meant she would no longer be living with him. He fell silent for a brief moment before quietly confirming that she would not, and simply answered with a yes. He gently wondered whether that was not good, and Olivia lowered her gaze and softly confessed that she did not really know how to answer. She quietly admitted that she would also be lonely without him. Olivia quietly remembered he had chosen the Florence Royal Academy for Girls for a reason and asked whether that was true. He calmly confirmed that it was. He explained that he and the Dark Queen had looked through all kinds of options and believed that this was the safest place for Olivia to go. Olivia quietly accepted those words and simply acknowledged them with understanding. She smiled and reminded Dragon that she was already 9 years old. He gently smiled and admitted that she truly was growing up. He hesitated and admitted that there were many other schools, and that he simply did not know whether this choice was truly the best. Olivia warmly assured him that this school was a good one. She noticed that Dragon still looked uncertain and softly asked whether he was sure. She continued with a bright smile and pointed out that the uniform was really cute and that the academy also had a great library. Olivia smiled brightly and admitted that if this was the school he had chosen for her, then it had to be a wonderful place. He could only return her smile. He accepted her trust and firmly declared that the decision had been made. 2 months later, Olivia departed to take the entrance exam for the Florence Royal Academy for Girls. She stepped forward with hope in her heart as a new chapter of her life quietly began. 2 days passed after Olivia departed to take the entrance exam for the Florence Royal Academy for Girls. The examination lasted for 3 days and 2 nights. The academy arranged all travel to and from the campus, and guardians were not permitted to attend in order to prevent cheating. Olivia happily waved farewell before leaving with the academy staff. He could do nothing except wait for her return, until that moment finally arrived. Olivia happily rushed toward him and proudly called out to him. She joyfully revealed that she had passed the entrance exam. He caught Olivia in a warm embrace as her excitement filled the air. He looked at the academy emblem and quietly realized that she had truly passed the entrance exam. That precious smile became the greatest proof that all of her efforts had been worthwhile. She proudly showed the proof that she had passed the entrance exam. Her bright smile overflowed with happiness, and he quietly watched that precious smile while trying to hold back his tears. The academy had kindly arranged transportation all the way to the foot of the mountain, and the carriage quietly carried them toward home. He gently suggested that they should return home. Olivia happily agreed. He praised Olivia as truly amazing because she had handled such a difficult exam all by herself. Olivia only answered with a cheerful laugh. She happily revealed that the entrance exam had actually been very easy. He quietly wondered if that was truly the case because everything heard about the academy described the entrance exam as extremely difficult. She simply confirmed it with a bright nod. She eagerly turned another page and curiously asked about a section called the subset exam. She corrected Dragon and explained that it was called the subject exam rather than the subset exam. She continued that the test required answering every question. She happily explained that the questions covered famous historical figures and magic. She also revealed that there had even been mathematics questions and proudly admitted that every answer had already been known. Olivia believed the exam had been much easier than studying with Merdia. She explained that the practical exam came next and Dragon concluded that the good news should be shared with the Dark Queen. Dragon turned another page and asked about the next section called the practice exam. Olivia happily explained that the practical exam required fighting a magic doll with a toy sword. She proudly admitted that the doll had moved so slowly that it had felt much easier than training with Claudia. She happily revealed that the examiners had even prepared extra magic dolls just for her. Dragon quietly decided that Claudia also deserved gratitude for helping Olivia reach that level. He remembered how Claudia and Merdia had devoted themselves to helping Olivia study. Claudia had trained Olivia for the practical exam, while Merdia had never stopped teaching magic along with mathematics, history, and many other subjects. Dragon looked at the exam result and wondered what the rank marked as SS meant. He simply believed it could not be anything bad. He noticed another section called Mana Reading and wondered how the Academy had performed such a test. Olivia happily revealed that it had never been an actual test at all, that it had only checked the type of magic each student possessed. Dragon reacted with surprise because such a thing had seemed unbelievable. Olivia explained that a large crystal ball had been placed inside the examination room. She explained that the crystal ball was most likely a mana gauge because Olivia had read about it in the library before taking the exam. She explained that placing a hand on the crystal ball allowed it to read a person's mana. Dragon quietly listened while trying to understand how the magical device worked. He asked whether Olivia had really touched the crystal ball during the examination. She happily confirmed that Olivia had placed a hand on it and began recalling what happened after that moment. She recalled that the crystal ball suddenly shone with brilliant rainbow-colored light after she placed both hands upon it. Everyone immediately began calling her with Drakashaman again and again. Dragon quietly repeated the strange title and wondered if that name truly referred to him. Olivia happily confirmed that he had understood correctly. She happily recalled that everyone had reached the same conclusion after seeing the result. Every person believed that Olivia possessed the same kind of magic as an elder dragon. Dragon froze in complete disbelief after hearing that astonishing conclusion. She gently admitted that the subject exam and the practical exam had both been very easy, yet the mana reading had been the only part that truly made her feel nervous. He listened as Olivia explained that the examiners measured only the person being tested. She confirmed that it was true and Dragon quietly accepted her answer. She remembered that before the mana reading began, the examiners explained that a person's mana revealed the way that person had been born and raised. They also explained that the measurement would reveal each person's lineage. They continued walking through the forest, while Olivia quietly reflected on those words and the meaning behind the lineage test. She admitted that fear had filled her heart after all. She believed a strange result might appear, and that thought made her worry throughout the mana reading. She remembered standing among the other children, while worry stayed inside her heart. Dragon listened without turning away as every word reached his heart. She happily remembered that the crystal ball had reacted exactly like an elder dragon. She accepted that result with complete joy because it proved that she truly was his daughter. Dragon finally realized that everything had been true after all. He remembered reading in a book about raising children for wizards and witches. He recalled that children who grew up near someone with powerful magic from an early age could inherit that magic. Dragon also remembered Olivia talking about the children and giving Dragon a present. She even praised the brooch because Olivia believed it was truly beautiful. He had not believed those words back, then yet Olivia's magic now looked exactly like his own. He realized that staying together through every day had become undeniable proof that both of them had always remained by each other's side. He believed that every choice and every day spent beside her proved that he had truly become a good father for her. The successful result had already been decided, but Dragon still carried a complicated feeling inside. The entrance exam result proved their efforts were not wasted. Dragon thanked the entrance exam while accepting the proof that Olivia had passed. They walked along the forest path after leaving the academy. Claudia and Merdia followed them as they returned home together. Merdia could hardly believe the result and praised Olivia for passing the difficult entrance exam. Claudia proudly told Olivia that she had done wonderfully. Merdia hugged Olivia tightly and happily praised her achievement. She told Olivia that she was amazing and incredibly smart after passing the entrance exam. Olivia laughed softly and thanked Merdia because she knew the success came from all the help. She reminded Olivia that this achievement was the result of Olivia's own hard work and effort. Claudia looked toward the future and realized that they would soon become busy preparing Olivia for school. Dragon looked at them and quietly wondered what they needed to do next. Merdia wondered if it was not obvious that Olivia would need many items before entering the academy. She looked at the preparations for Olivia's new school life and realized that there were still many things they needed to prepare. She explained that they had to order Olivia's uniform first. They also needed to buy all the things Olivia would need for her dormitory life and write her name on every item. Dragon looked at the long list of preparations with a troubled expression. He realized there were still many things to do. Dragon read the list of necessities for beginning school. He carefully checked the required items, including the summer and winter uniforms, the textbooks, dormitory clothing, formal wear, and stationery. He understood the preparations needed for Olivia's school life. There were many things to prepare before she could begin her new journey. Claudia looked at the list and wondered why they needed to buy so many things when the castle already had many of them. She questioned why they should spend such an important time preparing those items for Olivia. She explained that they should visit a human city and buy new things for Olivia. Olivia became excited after hearing they would go together to buy her school uniform. She happily cheered and could not wait for the trip. Claudia smiled while watching Olivia's happiness. Claudia invited Merdia to join them in going to the city. She asked if Merdia was coming too while preparing to leave. She hesitated for a moment before agreeing to come along. Claudia suggested starting the planning and mentioned that the city of Menodia would be the best place for Olivia to visit. Dragon listened quietly while considering their next step. He looked ahead with a gentle smile. Seeing Olivia excited about her new journey made him feel that preparing for her school life was truly worth doing. Dragon looked toward Olivia with a gentle smile and accepted that she would soon begin a new chapter of her life. Dragon looked at the academy emblem and quietly realized that Olivia was truly going to school. He held the proof of her acceptance while remembering the journey that brought them to this point. Dragon looked at the invitation and thought about the upcoming event. He wondered if he really had to participate in this battle. Dragon considered that going there in his dragon form would definitely cause a huge commotion. He imagined himself joining the battle while knowing his true power would make the situation difficult. He thought about the event and wondered if it was really safe to wear a dress to battle. He remembered that Claudia had been called a princess knight earlier and believed there were dresses for fighting at least. He looked at the invitation to the ball and carefully read the message written inside. The academy would be holding a ball in order to deepen their friendship before the beginning of the school year. The invitation explained that they would love to have this chance to get to know the child, and naturally they would be pleased to have all parents and guardians attend as well. Spring arrived at the foot of Mount Olympus, and the dragon traveled to the city of Miranda with Olivia to prepare her for school. The city was full of people and activity as Olivia looked around at the unfamiliar streets. Everything she saw was new and exciting for her. The busy city became a new experience for Olivia as she walked through the streets. Olivia continued looking around with curiosity as she saw many new things in Miranda. Olivia looked around with excitement and thought the city was huge. The dragon agreed that the city was truly large. Olivia noticed many interesting things around the city and quickly moved forward because everything caught her attention. Claudia called out to Olivia and asked her to slow down. Merdia walked through the city wearing a hat to hide herself and questioned why she had to come along. The dragon reminded Merdia that she and Olivia were almost the same age and believed it would be better if Merdia helped Olivia choose her clothes. Merdia complained that they were separated by more than 1,000 years and could not understand why she had to do this. She thought this could become a problem for Olivia's sake. Merdia considered leaving the castle while wearing her disguise, but feared that staying outside too long would reveal her identity. Merdia looked around the city and worried that someone might recognize her. The dragon noticed the people around them and wondered if some elves had lived long enough to remember Merdia. Claudia suddenly called out to Merdia and recognized her by name. Claudia excitedly revealed that it was finally here. Merdia looked at it with surprise as he wondered if this was really a crepe. The crepe reminded her of the past because this sweet had been popular throughout the Dark Realm about 1,200 years ago. Olivia happily revealed that there were 2 different flavors. Merdia quietly smiled because the familiar taste brought back precious memories from long ago. Olivia looked at the crepe with a gentle smile and wondered if Merdia wanted to share it. She gladly accepted the idea, and she happily decided that it was a fantastic idea. Merdia held the crepe toward Olivia with a warm smile and invited her to have a bite. Olivia leaned forward and happily took a big bite from the crepe. Claudia watched the scene with quiet surprise while Merdia laughed with delight. The dragon looked at Olivia with a faint smile as he realized that the bite was far more than just a small taste. The happy scene before him looked exactly like what it would have been if Olivia had a sister. Olivia smiled brightly and promised that Merdia would get a big bite from her crepe too. Merdia happily accepted and urged Olivia to keep that promise. Claudia noticed Dragon watching Olivia with a gentle smile and wondered if something was the matter. He admitted that guilt had remained because Merdia had been brought outside. He felt relieved because Olivia looked like she was truly having fun. He smiled as he watched they enjoying themselves together. Happiness quietly filled his heart because Merdia got along so well with Olivia. Claudia shared the same joy because seeing Merdia happy every day was enough to make her heart glad. Claudia knew that despite how cheerful Merdia looked, she had always grown up with deep loneliness. Merdia happily declared that the shopping would begin with Olivia's school uniform. Claudia smiled and offered to lead the way because shopping there was familiar to her. The dragon politely asked the shopkeeper to prepare a school uniform for his daughter. The shopkeeper gladly accepted the request and asked for Olivia's name. The shopkeeper carefully measured Olivia for the uniform. Olivia quietly stood still while the fitting continued. Claudia suggested looking for more clothes because many outfits would look lovely on Olivia. Merdia decided that spring outfits should be bought first. Olivia looked at the clothes with wonder as she softly admired them. Merdia happily reminded Olivia that daily necessities and writing tools would also be needed for school. Olivia hoped to keep a diary just like the dragon. The dragon smiled warmly as he listened to her wish. Many school supplies were carefully prepared for Olivia. Olivia happily thanked everyone. Merdia happily declared that everyone had walked enough for one day. A short break sounded perfect because all the walking had become exhausting. Merdia placed a cool drink into Olivia's hands. Olivia happily accepted it and warmly thanked Merdia. Olivia suddenly realized that Claudia was nowhere to be seen and wondered where she had gone. The dragon looked around after hearing Olivia's question. Merdia also paused for a moment as both of them finally realized that Claudia had disappeared. Claudia suddenly returned and quietly apologized. Claudia revealed that bad news had appeared because there was a problem with Olivia's school uniform order. The dragon softly answered with surprise as he waited to hear the problem. Claudia explained that Olivia's application needed a family name before it could be signed. He could only give a confused reply because the meaning was unfamiliar. He wondered what such a thing was. Claudia gently explained that a family name was part of human culture and served as a second name that showed which family someone belonged to. He looked at the application with growing concern. He quietly wondered what should be done. Claudia calmly explained that almost any family name could be written. Olivia stepped forward with bright determination and eagerly asked for the application. She declared that the form should be given to her because she would do it herself. The dragon quietly looked on with surprise. Olivia gently took the pen and carefully began writing on the application. The dragon finally understood her intention and quietly accepted it while Olivia continued writing her family name with steady confidence. Olivia quietly continued writing because she already had a family name. She carefully wrote the name of her real father across the application. Dragon silently watched the name appear on the paper. He knew it was the name of Olivia's real father. A quiet thought remained because that was not the name the dragon had hoped to see. She happily finished writing and proudly showed the application to the dragon. She called for Daddy and cheerfully announced that it was done. Dragon looked at the paper and softly read the name El Draco. He could only repeat Draco as quiet surprise filled his heart. Olivia smiled with quiet pride and let out a happy laugh. She explained that the application would fail without a family name, so Olivia had used that name for the entrance exam as well. Dragon quietly looked at the application while listening to Olivia's explanation. He gently asked if Olivia had created that family name by herself. Olivia happily nodded and explained that the name had come from a book about names and the lineages of historical families. She thought the name sounded very nice. Dragon quietly understood and smiled with gentle relief. He realized that Olivia had been reading those books once again. He softly explained that El Draco meant something like a dragon. He gently admitted that the name probably had no meaning in the human world. Olivia looked at the dragon with quiet concern and softly wondered if the name could not be used. He quietly admitted that the name could still be used. He gently smiled and reminded Olivia about the picture book that she loved. He softly explained that El Draco was a name once used for evil dragons and violent people. That was the meaning the name had carried for a long time. Olivia quickly shook her head and firmly refused to accept those words. She declared that the dragon was nothing like that. Dragon quietly looked at Olivia in surprise. She smiled with complete faith and declared that he was a kind dragon. He was a huge dragon. He was also a wonderful dragon. He softly called Olivia's name. Olivia quietly looked at the dragon and remembered the days before meeting him. She remembered that every day had been cold and lonely. Laughter had always belonged to someone else during those days. She gently smiled as everything changed after living together with him. Every day had become warm and filled with comfort. She smiled with all her heart and confessed that every day had been so much fun. He quietly stood in silence as Olivia's words reached his heart. She gently embraced him and confessed that happiness had filled every day since they became family. Olivia smiled with all her heart and confessed that she wanted to have the same family name as him. Olivia believed that everyone would know she was the daughter of a kind dragon. He quietly looked at the application while Olivia beamed with joy. She happily declared that it was a wonderful idea and looked at him with hope as she waited for his answer. A quiet breath escaped from Dragon as Olivia's name lingered within his heart. Claudia smiled with bright delight because Olivia El Draco sounded like a wonderful name. Merdia nodded with quiet approval because Olivia El Draco truly was a fitting name for the daughter of a dragon. Olivia beamed with innocent happiness as joyful laughter escaped. She warmly introduced herself as Olivia El Draco and happily greeted everyone. Olivia eagerly urged Dragon to hurry back to the store because excitement still filled every step. Dragon gently accepted the request and agreed without hesitation because returning together felt only natural. No matter where the future led them, or how far distance might separate them, they would always remain a family. Olivia smiled with bright happiness as every time Olivia introduced herself or wrote down her name became the proof that would be right there. That precious proof would always remain with Olivia. Dragon quietly wondered if that was what the humans in the distant past thought too. That gentle thought lingered within him as Olivia's happiness remained before him. He embraced that precious truth because Olivia was his daughter and the most adorable girl in the world. He looked toward Olivia with quiet affection as Olivia happily called out the name Olivia El Draco. Dragon walked beneath the quiet night sky while Olivia rested peacefully in his arms. Claudia and Merdia followed beside Dragon as the long road carried the family home together. Claudia looked toward the sleeping Olivia and realized Olivia had fallen asleep so quickly. Claudia believed Olivia must have been exhausted from all the walking they had done today. Dragon looked upon Olivia with gentle warmth and quietly felt that everything was kind of strange. Merdia looked toward Dragon with quiet curiosity and wondered what felt so strange. Dragon reflected that they had barely been living together for any time at all. Even so, he felt they had always been a family. Dragon gently held Olivia close and quietly wished to stay together like this forever. Dragon quietly reflected that life as a human was full of challenges. Everything was still new and unfamiliar for him as each passing day brought another lesson. He softly admitted that despite everything, life was also a lot of fun. Dragon quietly wondered if this was what human families were like. Claudia reflected that none of them were connected by blood. She believed blood meant nothing. She declared that blood relations were hardly needed to make a happy family. Merdia believed what truly mattered was enjoying the moment. She happily asked whether Dragon agreed with that thought. Dragon quietly agreed because those words felt true. Dragon smiled with quiet warmth as the answer remained simple. A faint rustle followed while Dragon reflected Merdia truly carried so much baggage to think that way. She happily believed Olivia would no doubt become a great hero one day. She held that hope with complete confidence as Dragon quietly listened. Dragon looked at the sleeping Olivia and believed that would be fine. He also believed Olivia living an ordinary happy life would make Dragon just as happy. Dragon carried the sleeping Olivia while Claudia and Merdia walked beside him. He quietly wondered what kind of life Olivia would lead. He believed that was something only Olivia herself could decide. Dragon quietly questioned whether he would truly be able to fulfill that part in Olivia's future properly. He knew he was not a human and was not Olivia's real father. Merdia noticed Dragon had become distracted and wondered what was wrong with him. He quickly answered that nothing was wrong. Claudia reminded Dragon to hurry up and change back into dragon form because returning to the castle on foot would take ages. He apologized and asked for 1 second before moving once again. One day arrived shortly before Olivia's entrance ceremony. Olivia quietly sat alone with a book as the peaceful castle remained wrapped in silence. Dragon noticed Olivia sitting there and quietly approached. She softly called for Daddy. Dragon gently wondered what was wrong with her. Olivia quietly closed the book as a faint rustling sound followed. He looked at her with quiet concern as a puzzled breath escaped. She gently looked up at him and quietly asked what it was. He gently smiled and assured her that nothing was wrong. He remembered that it was snack time. A plate of snacks had already been prepared. Olivia quietly explained that snack time had already come. She came to get him because he had not shown up. Olivia softly accepted Dragon's answer with a quiet understanding. She simply responded with an okay. Dragon gently told Olivia to go ahead and start without him. He promised to come down in a bit. Dragon suddenly froze as a loud shock ran through his heart. He immediately called Olivia's name and rushed toward Olivia without another thought. He tightly held Olivia and anxiously asked if something had happened. He desperately asked whether Olivia was feeling okay. He gently told her that if she was worried about something, then she could talk to him. Olivia immediately denied everything and insisted that nothing had happened. She suddenly cried out that it was none of his business. Those unexpected words struck him without warning and left he standing in silent shock. Merdia quietly watched Dragon with growing concern as the silence became difficult to ignore. He could only stare ahead without finding an answer. Merdia found Dragon sitting alone with untouched food and quietly wondered what Dragon was doing. Merdia suddenly realized Olivia was nowhere to be seen. Dragon softly called Olivia's name again while a quiet sniffle escaped. Merdia looked toward Dragon with concern and wondered if something had happened again. He watched Olivia from a distance and quietly noticed that Olivia had recently seemed really down. She often spaced out for long moments without saying anything. He could not understand what was wrong with Olivia. He felt helpless because Olivia would not tell Dragon anything. A quiet cry escaped while Dragon remained lost in worry. Claudia and Merdia could only watch in silence. Claudia gently turned toward him and explained that the reason was obvious. Merdia understood at once because Olivia had been somewhat out of sorts ever since the matter came up. The reason was Olivia's entrance ceremony was coming up. He looked at Claudia with complete confusion and could only respond with a puzzled question. Claudia calmly confirmed that Olivia was suffering from the entrance ceremony blues. Merdia compared it to the pre-wedding blues and quietly agreed. He slowly repeated the unfamiliar words and struggled to understand their meaning. He anxiously wondered if that meant Olivia did not want to go to school. Merdia quietly reminded Dragon that Olivia had been the one who wanted to go there in the first place. Claudia admitted that was true, but also not true in a way. She believed a maiden's heart was a complicated thing. She explained that once Olivia started school, her first break would not come until summer. That would be about 3 months. She gently explained that 3 months might pass in the blink of an eye for a dragon like Dragon. Those 3 months would feel very short. She quietly looked at Olivia and explained that 3 months living alone in an unfamiliar place would feel like a very long time for a 10-year-old girl like Olivia. Dragon quietly accepted that truth. He realized Olivia had much less time to live than he did. He quietly realized what that truly meant. 3 months would be much longer for Olivia than they would ever be for him. Claudia gently explained that Olivia was still excited to go. Just yesterday, Olivia had happily shown all the colored notebooks. Olivia even explained that one notebook was for magic class and another red notebook was for writing really important things. She had proudly explained the contents of the pencil case as well. Dragon slowly began to understand the feelings Olivia had been carrying alone. Merdia assured Dragon that Olivia was a great kid, so Olivia would have tons of friends in no time. She added that Olivia was smart, so Olivia would have no problems with studies. She proudly explained that Olivia's practical skills were quite sharp as well. She believed they had spared no effort to ensure that. She quietly admitted that even so, Olivia likely felt uneasy at the thought of being separated from Dragon. Olivia stood alone in silence while the uneasy feeling quietly remained within the heart. He quietly remembered that Merdia had said there was nothing to worry about, yet those words still left concern in his heart. Olivia softly called him, and he gently asked what was wrong with Olivia, while Olivia quietly answered that nothing was wrong. He slowly accepted Olivia's answer and quietly understood. He gently suggested that Olivia should go out for a while. He paused in confusion after hearing Olivia ask whether now was the right time, while Olivia quickly assured Dragon that of course it was. He gently revealed that spring had arrived and his favorite pink flowers should already be in full bloom. He eagerly decided that they should leave at once and immediately reached for Olivia. She called out for Dragon to wait and asked her father to hold on. Olivia cried out in astonishment as he transformed into his dragon form and powerful wings spread wide before her. He soared high through the sky while Olivia watched with amazement as they flew together through the open air. She quietly gazed ahead while the endless sky stretched before her and the journey continued beyond the horizon. He rushed through the sky with overwhelming speed while powerful winds surged around his wings and carried both of them across the endless forest. Olivia watched the distant castle become so small beneath them while Dragon continued soaring across the sky. She admitted that the sudden flight had surprised her and warmly praised him as truly amazing while he proudly answered that such speed was only natural because he was a dragon after all. He happily declared that he could travel anywhere in an instant. He gently landed in a vast field covered with countless flowers while she quietly followed beside him and admired the peaceful scenery. She softly called for her father and wondered whether this field had always been so full of flowers. He thoughtfully answered that the field had remained that way for a very long time. He wondered how long ago it had been while remembering that about 300 years earlier, he had found a single flower growing there. He remembered thinking the flower was cute and wishing there were more of them, so he moved some rocks out of the way. He remembered that before long the field had become just like this while Olivia realized the flowers had spread because of Dragon. She softly called for her father and wondered whether 300 years felt like a short time. He quietly supposed that it did, because Dragon was a dragon. He recalled that long ago he used to lie down for a nap, but after falling asleep he might not wake up for 10 years or even 100 years. Everything changed after Olivia came into his life. He revealed that ever since she came into his life each day had become so precious that he no longer wanted to miss a single one. She quietly asked whether that was really true. Dragon warmly confirmed that it was true and admitted that the dragon from the past could never have imagined that a single day would ever feel so long. She softly wondered whether 3 months would feel like a really long time. He gently called her by name as memories returned to the day Olivia first wished to attend school. He admitted deep worry because the thought of life without Olivia left him lost and uncertain. He confessed that loneliness had filled his heart and no path seemed clear without her. He reached a gentle claw toward Olivia. She confessed deep love for Dragon and admitted that the thought of leaving Dragon was almost too painful to bear. She quietly admitted that worry filled her heart as well. She revealed that excitement for school remained strong, yet worry still stayed beside that happiness. He admitted that he understood. He revealed that he felt the same way because she was precious to Dragon. Olivia quietly wondered whether Dragon truly believed that. She listened as Dragon assured her that she was a brilliant and adorable girl. He believed she would do fine no matter where she went. She immediately accepted those words with complete certainty and answered that of course he was right. He proudly declared that Olivia was Dragon's pride and joy after all. He reminded her that he was a dragon after all. He promised that if anything happened to Olivia at all, then Dragon would reach Olivia in a flash. He declared that Dragon's wings would always carry him to her without delay. He smiled with complete confidence and assured her that she would definitely be okay. She quietly looked toward him as those reassuring words settled inside her heart and his promise remained firmly with her. She happily declared that Dragon was an amazing daddy. He quietly accepted Olivia's joyful praise as the warm moment remained close between them. She smiled brightly while he thinking that once Olivia started school life would have plenty of surprises for them. He believed she would meet new people, visit new places, and do new things. He quietly realized that maybe the truth was that he had been the most worried of all. He accepted that no matter what the future might hold, he would still remain her daddy. That promise never changed, and Dragon carried that unwavering resolve with complete certainty. On the day of the ceremony, rustling cloth softly brushed against him as he carefully adjusted his sleeve. He slowly slipped his hand into place and finished straightening his clothing. He gently clasped both hands together and declared that he was ready. Today was Olivia's entrance ceremony. He encouraged himself by believing he was doing a great job as Olivia's father. Even so, he admitted he was nervous. He He wanted Olivia to at least finish the entrance ceremony as a normal human girl. He carefully made sure no one would discover that he was truly a dragon. He quietly adjusted the clothing until everything looked right and accepted that everything was finally good. Olivia happily called out to Daddy and eagerly urged Dragon to go together. Her bright smile filled the room as excitement for the entrance ceremony overflowed from her heart. Olivia gazed ahead in amazement as the enormous school came into view. Olivia breathed out a quiet expression of wonder and felt the academy looked incredibly large from that distance. He looked ahead at the academy while she quietly gazed at the grand building. She felt the school looked incredibly large from that distance, and innocent wonder filled her heart as Dragon shared that first view with her. There was a constant bustle around the school entrance as countless families and children filled the courtyard. The lively atmosphere spread in every direction while he quietly noticed that there were so many children around Olivia's age. Olivia searched through the crowd and wondered where Claudia was. Merdia had already gone ahead to find seats for everyone. Claudia assured them that everything could be left to her because she was a maid of the El Draco family. Olivia accepted those words without hesitation and simply felt that everything would be okay. Dragon guessed that Merdia was probably still at home. Olivia understood at once and realized that Merdia truly did not handle going out very well. Dragon quietly agreed that she really did not. He looked toward the grand entrance and believed they should simply go straight inside. He looked around the enormous campus and realized that the school truly was huge. Olivia compared the place to a whole city and wondered if it might even be bigger than Miranda. He admitted that it might be. He remembered looking down from the sky and believing the place below could have been an entire city. The memory still felt vivid as Dragon quietly reflected on it. He let out a soft laugh while remembering that only a few hundred years ago the same place had been nothing more than an empty hill. Olivia proudly pointed toward him and happily let everyone know that Dragon was her daddy. He let out an uneasy sound as the overwhelming crowd filled every corner of the school. Olivia looked around in amazement and realized that this truly was a very big school. He answered with quiet agreement. He remembered that only a few hundred years ago the place had looked completely different from the sky. He silently reminded himself to be careful because careless words could easily reveal that he was not human. The sound of bustling footsteps surrounded him from every direction as countless people passed by without pause. He quietly looked around at the unfamiliar gathering while the endless bustle continued. The crowd felt overwhelming, and he could only remain silent. Olivia quietly turned toward him with a curious gaze while he let out a troubled sigh. He looked around the crowded school grounds and felt uneasy. He believed that so many people were watching him. He then tried to dismiss the feeling by convincing himself that it was probably only imagination. He lowered a hand to his chest as an uneasy heartbeat echoed within. He hesitated before calling Olivia's name, while another thought quietly wondered if the uneasy feeling truly meant something. He looked at her with lingering uncertainty and wondered if something looked strange about him. She listened carefully and wondered if there was something wrong with Dragon's clothes. Olivia looked at him with quiet curiosity while waiting for an answer. He forced out an uneasy laugh. Another awkward laugh escaped as Dragon panicked inside. He became convinced that something had gone wrong and desperately wondered what mistake had been made. He quickly denied that the clothes were not the problem. She smiled warmly and assured Dragon that nothing was wrong. She simply believed Dragon looked very nervous. He quietly admitted that he truly did not know what to do there. She gently told him not to worry because this day was such an important occasion for her. He struggled to find the right words. He admitted that this was also the first time facing such a place. He confessed that so many unfamiliar people made him feel nervous. She stepped closer and softly whispered that there was still one more thing. She smiled with complete confidence and declared that he was definitely the coolest daddy there. Dragon fell silent as Olivia's heartfelt praise reached him. He could no longer hold back his emotions. He embraced Olivia tightly and poured every feeling into heartfelt gratitude. He thanked Olivia with all his heart. The people nearby watched the scene with surprise. Some believed Dragon looked like a prince while others quietly wondered what was happening. The ceremony grounds remained lively as families continued gathering across the vast campus. A familiar voice called through the bustling crowd and guided him toward the waiting place. Claudia came into view while the crowd continued to chatter. Dragon learned that Olivia had already gone to the stage and quietly accepted the news. He learned that the parents had been told to come there to watch. He settled into the seat beside Clauria. Wonder quietly filled him as the lively atmosphere and the countless families gathered for the ceremony spread before his eyes. "These are great seats," became Miss Dark Queen's proud declaration. She asked what Dragon thought, and proudly insisted that these were definitely the best seats in the house. She also revealed that arriving early had truly been worth it. Dragon suddenly recognized the small black cat as Miss Dark Queen. Shock spread across his face as the mighty Dark Queen had transformed into a cat. Her unexpected feline appearance left Dragon completely stunned. Merdia admitted that she had believed Dragon would stay at home. A quiet laugh followed before she proudly revealed that the visit was meant to be a surprise. Dragon reflected that Merdia could have simply arrived normally. He thanked her because Olivia would surely be very happy to see her there. She hesitated for a brief moment before offering an uncertain explanation. She insisted that observing humans in their natural habitat had seemed important or something similar, while sweat formed across her face. Clauria offered an apology because her liege truly had not wished to miss the occasion. Dragon understood her explanation while Merdia hissed in embarrassment and demanded that Clauria stop because the truth had been revealed. Dragon observed that the place seemed quite crowded because even the second floor was already full of people. Clauria explained that the Florence Royal Academy for Girls was widely known. She added that many powerful families sent their children there, while Dragon realized that the academy truly was a prestigious school. And now Olivia had reached the day when she would attend the academy. He remembered that when they had first met, Olivia had been so small that Daddy had been the only word she could say. Olivia happily reached toward Dragon and called for Daddy once again. Clauria noticed Dragon quietly sniffling and gently asked whether something was the matter. Dragon denied that anything was wrong. Dragon only admitted that seeing how much Olivia had grown left him unable to hold back his emotions. Clauria gently remarked that Olivia truly had grown so much. Dragon quietly agreed and admitted that both of them felt deeply proud of her. Dragon acknowledged that Clauria and Merdia had also watched over Olivia throughout all those years. She teasingly remarked that their pride could never compare to Dragon's. Dragon answered with a quiet agreement. Merdia noticed the ceremony was about to begin and pointed out that it looked like everything was finally starting. The announcement declared that the new students were arriving. Silence spread across the venue as everyone was asked to welcome them with a round of applause. Dragon felt his heartbeat quicken as Olivia was finally about to appear. Clauria quietly agreed that the long-awaited moment had arrived while anticipation filled all of them. The curtains slowly parted, and the new students stepped onto the stage. A quiet breath escaped Dragon as the long-awaited moment finally arrived. Dragon stared ahead while his heartbeat pounded inside his chest. The instant every new student stepped onto the stage became forever engraved in his heart. He recognized Olivia the moment she appeared among the new students. Olivia stood on the stage with a gentle smile. Loud applause echoed through the hall as everyone welcomed the new students. They looked toward the stage and believed Olivia was the cutest one there. Dragon felt Olivia looked so brilliant that none of the other children could catch his attention. His gaze remained fixed on Olivia alone. Clauria noticed someone could barely see Daisy anymore because she had completely captured his attention. A voice from the audience found the sight unbelievable because a member of the Palestria family had been allowed to sit beside commoners. She tightened a clenched hand with growing displeasure. She continued with cold contempt as the speaker claimed the school only wore the appearance of meritocracy. She believed the idea looked admirable on the surface, yet also believed the school had fallen so far because of it. The story continued as the woman looked upon the academy with deep disappointment. Meritocracy might appear beautiful on the surface, yet she believed the school had fallen farther than ever before. Both of them quietly watched the woman as surprise grew across their faces, and neither of them understood what had happened. Clauria quietly wondered who that woman was. Dragon could only admit that the answer remained unknown, while Merdia softly urged Clauria not to ask. Another thought quietly concluded that the woman was probably the mother of one of the students. Clauria continued watching the woman as an unwavering glare remained fixed upon her. The woman fixed her attention on Dragon and demanded to know who he was. Dragon hesitated for a brief moment before introducing himself as El Draco. The name sounded magnificent in his own mind, and quiet satisfaction followed that proud declaration. The woman softly repeated the name El Draco as she reflected upon it. A faint scoff escaped her before she dismissed it as nothing more than a suspicious name that deserved little trust. The woman looked at Dragon with growing disbelief. She revealed that the El Draco family had never once appeared in memory. Deep disappointment followed, as she could not understand what had persuaded the Academy to lower its standards and accept commoners. The question returned with greater force, as she demanded to know which school Olivia had attended to prepare for the entrance examination. She directed another question toward Dragon, and demanded to know which school Olivia had attended before taking the entrance examination. The woman declared that her beloved Daisy could never be sent to a place that accepted commoners. Pride filled every word as she revealed that the Palestria family had employed the finest private tutors for generations. The woman pressed Dragon for an answer, and demanded to know where Olivia had gone for cram school. Dragon quietly listened while he leaned closer, and whispered a question about what a cram school actually was. Claudia could only whisper back that it was probably a place where children studied to prepare for entrance examinations. A hesitant reply slowly emerged while Dragon searched for the proper words to explain Olivia's situation. He finally revealed that Olivia also had something similar to a private tutor. He explained that the entire family helped Olivia study together. The woman looked upon Dragon with open disdain. She concluded that a family teaching Olivia by themselves proved they truly belonged among the lowest of commoners. Dragon quietly accepted every harsh word while Claudia listened in growing disbelief. The woman reluctantly admitted that Olivia had at least managed to pass the entrance examination. She immediately warned Dragon that the Academy stood far beyond Olivia's ability and believed the school was much too prestigious for her. She proudly declared that her daughter Daisy had earned second place across the entire Academy. Dragon warmly acknowledged that the woman's daughter was Daisy. He happily introduced his own daughter as Olivia and sincerely hoped the two girls could become good friends. The woman's expression immediately hardened with disbelief. The suggestion of friendship sounded utterly ridiculous to her, and she demanded whether Dragon truly understood his place within the Academy. Merdia rested quietly in Dragon's arms until the woman suddenly noticed the black cat. Shock spread across her face as she cried out at the sight. Merdia slowly lifted her head and answered with an annoyed hiss while her husband could only watch in confusion. The woman immediately stretched out her hand toward Merdia and condemned her as a vile omen. Without hesitation, she tried to drive Merdia away. Claudia quietly remarked that the world truly held every kind of person. Dragon agreed without hesitation because Dragon had already spoken exactly what rested in her thoughts. Merdia climbed back onto Claudia with heavy footsteps while she scolded both of them for treating the situation far too lightly. The announcement declared that the ceremony would now continue with a speech from the new student representative. Excitement quickly replaced every unpleasant thought because this was Olivia's entrance ceremony. Olivia El Draco was summoned before everyone. Dragon immediately answered with cheerful enthusiasm and proudly announced Olivia's presence. The announcement of Olivia El Draco's name spread through the hall, and confusion immediately followed. Many people quietly repeated the unfamiliar family name because none of them had ever heard of the El Draco family. Others struggled to remember the name, yet no answer came to mind. The woman froze in disbelief as the name El Draco echoed through the hall. Shock quickly turned into outrage because a commoner had become the head of the class. Dragon quietly admitted that the meaning of head of the class remained unclear. Claudia explained that Olivia had earned a higher score than every other student on the entrance examination. Warm congratulations naturally followed as Claudia praised Olivia for her remarkable achievement. Olivia stepped forward as the head of the class while every gaze gathered upon her. Dragon watched in silent amazement as the truth slowly settled before him. Olivia had truly become the #1 student. Olivia began her speech with quiet confidence. She welcomed every new student to the Florence Royal Academy for Girls and declared that together they would take another step toward the future. Olivia continued by explaining that everyone had reached this place because of the support of many people who had always stood behind them. She expressed sincere gratitude for that unwavering encouragement and declared that none of them could have come this far alone. Dragon watched with quiet pride because Olivia continued to shine even without him standing beside her. Olivia concluded by expressing the shared hope of every new student. They wished to grow into splendid adults like their teachers and the upperclassmen who had come before them. The ceremony continued as the speech from the new student representative officially came to an end. The academy announced that Olivia and the 5 students who ranked below her would be inducted into Class 0. The academy called for Headmaster Kuri to present Olivia Eldraco with the cloak that symbolized her place in Class 0. Olivia stepped forward with quiet dignity and respectfully accepted the cloak as the mark of her achievement. Olivia accepted the cloak with a peaceful smile as warm applause spread throughout the grand hall. Every student and teacher celebrated her remarkable achievement, while Olivia quietly received the honor with grace. Dragon watched Olivia from the audience as endless applause filled the academy. Deep emotion overflowed within his heart, and Dragon finally realized that this truly was Olivia's entrance ceremony. Conversations filled the academy while students and parents gathered together to celebrate the beginning of a new school year. Dragon could no longer hold back his emotions. Tears continued to fall as Dragon proudly reflected that Olivia had truly grown into such a wonderful young lady. Dragon regarded the ceremony as something truly unforgettable. He quietly watched the lively crowd before a sudden sound pulled his attention away. He turned toward the source of the noise with quiet curiosity. The woman clenched her hand as anger continued to build within her heart. She dismissed everything that had happened as nothing more than an obvious mistake. Firm conviction filled her thoughts as she believed Daisy would soon reclaim the position that rightfully belonged to her as the head of the class. The woman looked back at Dragon with cold contempt. She urged Dragon to enjoy the brief moment in the spotlight because she believed that honor would soon disappear. The woman suddenly stopped and demanded Dragon's full name because proper courtesy required a complete introduction. She declared that she would at least make an effort to remember that name. Dragon politely excused himself before awkwardly repeating that the family name was simply Eldraco. Dragon quietly panicked because humanity treated family names with great importance, while Eldraco was never meant to be nothing more than a family name. Mirja regretted failing to consider such an obvious problem. Claudia hurriedly whispered that no choice remained and urged Dragon to invent something before the conversation became even more suspicious. The desperate idea of using Adlib Eldraco as a name briefly crossed Dragon's mind. Mirja immediately rejected that ridiculous idea and bluntly called Dragon an idiot. The woman noticed the quiet whispering and questioned what the secret discussion was about. Olivia happily ran toward Dragon and called out to her beloved daddy. Nearby people quietly noticed the special cloaks and realized that Olivia belonged to Class 0. Olivia beamed with a bright smile and happily announced that she had returned. Daisy approached with graceful confidence and respectfully greeted her mother after returning from the ceremony. Dragon quietly wondered who the unfamiliar girl was. Olivia happily introduced Daisy and explained that Daisy belonged to the same class as her. She expressed sincere pleasure at meeting Olivia's father. She introduced herself with a warm smile as Daisy Palestria. Dragon politely returned the greeting, yet complete astonishment filled his heart because Daisy had openly recognized him as Olivia's father. Claudia approached Olivia with a gentle smile and warmly congratulated her once again for becoming the top student. Olivia happily welcomed Claudia and laughed with delight because Claudia had come to celebrate with her. Mirja casually admitted that she had not come alone before Olivia immediately embraced her with overwhelming joy. Olivia suddenly noticed Mirja in her black cat form and happily called out to Miss Mirja. Mirja let out a startled cry as Olivia squeezed her tightly while happily declaring how grateful she was that Mirja had come. The woman's disbelief only grew stronger as she watched Olivia treat Mirja with such warmth. She could not accept that Olivia behaved so casually toward cats and the dark kin. The woman condemned Olivia's upbringing and questioned what kind of education could have produced such behavior. The woman abruptly seized Daisy by the hand and ordered her to leave at once. She firmly declared that Daisy would never associate with such a base family. Daisy looked back in confusion and called out to her mother as she was pulled away. Daisy reached out and tried to stop her mother. Daisy could only apologize because she would have to leave and promised that they would meet again tomorrow. Dragon softly watched the two girls separate while quietly remarking that Daisy was already gone. Olivia quietly wondered whether something had happened with Daisy's mother. Dragon honestly admitted that the answer remained unknown because nothing seemed clear to him. Olivia gently asked whether he had somehow made Daisy's mother angry. Dragon softly denied it because he could not remember doing anything wrong. A cheerful voice suddenly called out after noticing Olivia. Another student eagerly asked why Olivia had run away immediately after the entrance ceremony. Olivia turned toward the lively group as surprise quietly crossed her face. Several classmates gathered together with bright smiles because they had finally found the student everyone had been talking about. Olivia wondered how everyone knew her name, while the group only answered with surprise at her question. The classmates revealed that because Olivia's grades surpassed everyone else, without exception her name became famous throughout the academy. Everyone at the parents' ball spoke about Olivia and admired her outstanding results. They quietly reflected that it was strange the best student from Class 0 had never appeared. Olivia gently called for Daddy while Dragon let out a troubled breath because the invitation had already been declined. He admitted that the gathering had been mistaken for some kind of battle. Dragon wondered whether they were all members of Class 0. One student happily confirmed that every one of them belonged to Class 0. A quiet voice questioned the unexpected remark, while Dragon accepted that introductions should have come first. They stood together as prepared to greet each other properly. Ruby warmly introduced herself. Ruby explained that both parents worked as jewelers and spent every day studying jewelry gemstones and the connection between gemstones and magic. Another cheerful introduction followed as the girl proudly revealed that the name was Iria. Iria shared that swordsmanship was the greatest specialty because Iria's father served as a respected general. Kate stepped forward with a bright smile and introduced herself. Kate revealed that Kate's father worked as a royal chef and that Dream had brought Kate to the academy to study herbology. The quiet girl softly introduced herself as Lena. Lena politely greeted everyone and gently revealed that Lena was the name she carried. Dragon looked upon Olivia's classmates with growing admiration because they all seemed like such good girls. He introduced himself and revealed that he was Olivia's father. He gently entrusted Olivia to everyone and wished for them to get along well with her. The girls gladly accepted the request and happily promised that they would. One of the girls wondered why Olivia had never appeared before. Another quietly admitted that the reason was becoming clear. Olivia cheerfully revealed that Daddy had believed the gathering was some kind of tournament and thought the event was far too dangerous. Claudia smiled as Dragon quietly watched Olivia laugh together with the other girls. The girls gently remarked that Olivia's father truly was quite the character and wondered whether that was always the case. A dignified woman approached Dragon and politely asked whether Dragon was Mr. El Draco. The woman then introduced herself as Headmaster Kuri. Dragon quickly remembered that Headmaster Kuri was the one who had presented Olivia with the cloak during the ceremony. He politely asked whether there was something that required attention. Headmaster Kuri gently denied that anything was wrong and revealed that the meeting had simply been a personal wish because she had hoped to meet Dragon face to face. She praised Olivia with heartfelt admiration and revealed that Miss Olivia had achieved incredible results during the magic reading examination. She further explained that Olivia's test scores had been almost perfect. Such remarkable achievements led her to wonder what kind of upbringing had shaped such an exceptional young girl. Dragon quietly repeated the word upbringing as the meaning settled within his thoughts. Dragon answered without hesitation that Olivia had been raised with an abundance of love. He firmly believed that love mattered more than anything else because every parenting book had taught that love was the most important part of raising a child. A brief silence followed before Kuri gently asked whether there was anything more beyond that. Dragon remained silent while every lesson from the past slowly passed through Dragon's thoughts. Dragon tightly clenched a fist and proudly declared that Olivia had been raised with even more love. Kuri could only stare in complete surprise at that unexpected reply. Kuri quietly struggled to accept that love alone could produce such extraordinary results. She remained convinced that there had to be something more behind Olivia's remarkable achievements. Olivia happily called out to Daddy and revealed that everyone was going to look around the dormitory. Dragon immediately entrusted Olivia to the care of Headmaster and politely asked Headmaster to watch over her. He quietly watched Olivia walk farther away with the other students. He realized that the next meeting would not come until 3 months later during the summer vacation. Until recently 100 years had always felt as brief as the blink of an eye. Now 3 short months suddenly felt unbearably long. One day shortly before the entrance ceremony, Olivia could no longer hold back her tears. Sobs escaped one after another as deep sadness filled Olivia's heart. Dragon apologized to Olivia again and again because Dragon had never realized that the invitation had only been for a dance party. Dragon confessed that the invitation had already been declined because the event had been mistaken for some kind of tournament. Olivia sadly remembered the beautiful dresses, the dancing, the chance to make friends, and everything that had been missed. Olivia admitted that Olivia had truly wanted to go. Gon sincerely apologized once again, while Olivia could not understand how such a misunderstanding had even happened. Merdia looked at Dragon with disbelief and bluntly called him a fool because the past could no longer be changed. Merdia eagerly urged Dragon to find something suitable to wear and encouraged Dragon to prepare for the special occasion. Dragon looked surprised after hearing the suggestion and wondered whether he also had to dress up. Merdia immediately answered that Dragon would of course join. Merdia explained that the Dark Queen's castle should have formal clothes for Claria too. Merdia laughed with delight while Dragon could only react in surprise. Olivia suddenly found a bright idea and happily declared that they could simply hold a ball by themselves. The disappointment from missing the academy party quickly turned into cheerful excitement. Merdia eagerly urged Dragon to find something suitable to wear and encouraged Dragon to prepare for the special occasion. Dragon looked surprised after hearing the suggestion and wondered whether he also had to dress up. Merdia immediately answered that Dragon would of course join. Merdia explained that the Dark Queen's castle should have formal clothes for Claria too. Merdia laughed with delight while Dragon could only react in surprise. Claria awkwardly protested because such elegant clothing did not seem suitable. Merdia refused to accept that excuse and insisted that everyone would dress up together. Claria reached out toward Dragon and urged him to hurry and change clothes as well. The elegant outfit completely transformed Dragon's appearance as everyone quietly admired the handsome figure before them. Dragon nervously asked how Dragon looked in the formal attire. Olivia immediately praised Dragon and declared that Dragon looked so cool. Olivia looked at Dragon with sparkling admiration and happily asked whether Dragon truly did not realize it. Olivia declared that Dragon looked exactly like a prince from a fairy tale. Merdia stepped closer and softly urged Dragon to become a proper escort for the evening. Dragon hesitated for a brief moment before awkwardly agreeing, while quietly wondering what an escort was. Dragon hesitated for a brief moment before softly gathering enough courage to speak. He politely asked whether Olivia would allow Dragon to have this dance. Olivia happily accepted the invitation without the slightest hesitation. Dragon gently took Olivia's hand and stepped onto the floor with Olivia. Another day, Merdia quietly called out to Elder Dragon while searching through the empty hallway. She looked around in confusion and called out again with a long greeting. She soon realized the cookie container was completely empty and softly complained that there were no cookies left. A faint sound suddenly echoed through the corridor. She immediately froze as an uneasy feeling crept over the silence. The unexpected sight shocked her so much that she could only blurt out a stunned question about what that strange thing could possibly be. She stared at the strange figure with disbelief and called out to Dragon. She could hardly recognize Dragon anymore because he no longer looked like a dragon. Dragon could only let out a weary sigh. Merdia looked at Dragon with growing concern and gently asked what was wrong. He confessed that only Olivia remained in Dragon's mind. Heavy footsteps slowly echoed through the corridor as Dragon returned to the familiar dragon form. He anxiously wondered whether school was going well for Olivia. He worried about whether Olivia had made friends. He also feared that Olivia might be facing problems. Dragon quietly admitted that loneliness had settled deep within Dragon's heart. He remembered that so much time had been spent together with Olivia. He confessed that every morning now felt empty because Olivia was no longer there after waking from sleep. He sadly revealed that Olivia was no longer beside him to enjoy the meals that had been carefully prepared each day. He softly admitted that Olivia was no longer there to ask for a bedtime story before going to sleep. Merdia quietly repeated the words, "so much time," with disbelief. She could not understand how Dragon could call it so much time when he had lived longer than the calendar itself. Merdia quietly reminded Dragon that less than a decade had passed since Olivia became part of Dragon's life. Even so, she admitted that the feelings within Dragon were easy to understand because such emotions could never have been expected. She sadly explained that everything should have returned to normal. She still had Claria by her side, and nothing should have been different because of that. Silence quietly settled between them as neither of them spoke another word. Merdia suddenly asked whether Dragon could make a human form even smaller than the usual one. He admitted that a smaller human form was possible if he truly wanted it. Merdia happily accepted that answer and urged Dragon to do exactly that. Merdia excitedly suggested that they should secretly observe one of Olivia's classes. Dragon could only react with puzzled curiosity after hearing the unexpected plan. Merdia called out to Clauria and announced that they would be heading out for a while. Clauria wondered where they intended to go. Merdia explained that they were going to the academy because Dragon deeply missed Olivia. Merdia revealed that the plan was to secretly observe Olivia's classes. Dragon quietly repeated the unfamiliar word classes and wondered what that meant. Dragon stared at the academy standing before them and could only cry out in complete shock. The thought of entering the academy left him utterly speechless. Dragon anxiously questioned whether they were truly going inside the academy. He also wondered whether such a reckless plan could really be safe. Merdia remained completely confident and assured him that everything would be fine. Merdia insisted that if anyone caught her, then only a simple meow would be needed. Dragon questioned how becoming a cat could possibly help. Merdia believed sneaking inside with one of the workers would be easy. She proudly accepted being a cat. She declared that becoming a cat was the perfect choice. Dragon quietly watched a cart filled with cooking ingredients ordered for the afternoon classes. Two workers discussed the strange load while wondering what it was. Dragon accepted the plan without protest. Merdia thanked Dragon for always following her ideas. Dragon answered that helping caused no problem at all. The cart rolled forward while both of them stayed hidden inside. Merdia eagerly declared that it was time to find the students. Dragon gazed across the garden with endless admiration. He believed white lilies bloomed with unmatched beauty. He imagined a secret garden filled with beautiful young girls. The peaceful scenery completely captured him. Merdia meowed while Dragon admitted that imagination had wandered too far. Dragon noticed that morning had barely begun, yet many students already filled the garden. Merdia explained that this was their precious free time before classes began. She added that once lessons started, none of them would be able to eat lunch until class ended. Dragon felt that school life seemed difficult. He believed Olivia must be working very hard. He wondered where Olivia's class was. Merdia remembered that Olivia belonged to Class 0. He realized that Class 0 likely followed a different schedule from the other students. Merdia thought the day was still early, so Olivia might still be in the dorms. Dragon remembered that Olivia had mentioned Fontaine. Both of them searched for another clue while moving through the academy. Merdia overheard students talking nearby. One student remembered that yesterday the teacher had spoken about the new Class 0 students attending the East Building today. Another student reacted with surprise. Dragon finally found a useful lead from the conversation. Several students excitedly wished to go and watch. Another student insisted that first period was about to begin, so leaving was impossible. The students only hoped to catch a brief glimpse before returning to the dorms later. Merdia and Dragon quietly listened while hiding nearby. Dragon immediately rushed toward the East Building after hearing the clue. Dragon believed Olivia had to be there. Merdia secretly peeked through the doorway while hearing the teacher instruct the class to turn to Chapter 2. The teacher continued by announcing that several questions would come first. Dragon recognized a familiar voice and immediately focused on the sound. Dragon finally found Olivia inside the classroom and happily recognized her at once. Olivia explained that the lesson for today divided trees into 3 categories, with each category containing individual types. She continued by teaching that one of the 6 sages named Vandelson had left behind great magic for future students. Dragon noticed that the desks seemed to lean slightly today. The teacher praised the previous answer as very good and declared it a perfect answer. The teacher then called Daisy to answer next. Daisy respectfully accepted the request, and Dragon happily realized her. Dragon quietly observed the other students and recognized Ruby among them. He also recognized Iria and then noticed Kate sitting nearby. The familiar faces made he feel relieved while watching Olivia's classmates. Dragon then realized that the last student was Lena while continuing to observe the lesson in silence. He quietly wondered what Lena was writing. The teacher praised Iria with a very thorough answer before calling her name. Iria hesitated and struggled to answer while feeling nervous. Ruby whispered answer of 362 years ago. Iria repeated the answer, and the teacher recognized that answer. The teacher called her. Kate was also called because Kate belonged in the class. Olivia became the example for proper preparation. Both students received a reminder to take their studies more seriously. Olivia earned praise for preparing well before class. Olivia admitted that she only knew the answer because she had read about it in a book before. Dragon could not understand what was happening because Olivia kept receiving compliments. Dragon observed that the class had finished the lecture and would now move on to practical training. Every student was still a beginner. Everyone had to use magic with extreme care because even a simple mistake could seriously hurt another person. The lesson for the day introduced an elemental spell called Light Sphere that could illuminate the surroundings. Olivia quietly wondered about the light sphere while listening to the lesson and considered the spell with quiet curiosity. A brilliant light burst into existence from her hand and became the perfect example of the spell. The teacher called Olivia's name and questioned whether Olivia had truly been listening. The teacher acknowledged Olivia's talent, yet reminded every student that a single mistake could turn magic into something dangerous. The teacher warned that the fundamentals could never be ignored. The students eagerly wished to try the lesson for themselves. The teacher reminded everyone to understand the principles before using magic. Dragon watched the class with quiet relief. Merdia noticed that Olivia seemed to be getting along well with the other students. Dragon agreed and felt pleased that Olivia looked like she was enjoying herself. Merdia realized that lunchtime would arrive once the class ended and quietly looked forward to the next part of Olivia's day. The lively cafeteria welcomed every student with cheerful energy. Dragon admired the beautiful cafeteria while the room bustled with countless students enjoying their lunch. He quietly noticed Olivia among the crowd. Dragon recognized that Olivia was right there. He quietly wondered whether Olivia was looking for somebody among the students. Daisy noticed Olivia's uneasy search and gently asked what was wrong with Olivia. Olivia could only answer with a quiet, uncertain response while still holding the lunch tray. Dragon and Merdia quietly watched Olivia from a distance while wondering what had happened. Olivia lowered her gaze and revealed that someone had been crying during the night lately. The other students reacted with surprise after hearing about someone crying. One student admitted to hearing something similar, while the others tried to understand what had happened. Daisy remembered hearing a very sad and lonely voice crying faintly late at night. She believed it had only been part of a dream until now. Olivia realized they had all heard the same sound. They agreed it was that very voice and quietly wondered who had been crying during the night. Dragon wondered if someone was crying and asked why. Merdia admitted that nothing had been heard. Dragon guessed the lonely life in the dorms might be the reason because they were still children. The others admitted that nothing had been heard either. Lena could not remember hearing anything like that. Lena asked Olivia about it. Daisy quietly admitted that nothing had been heard. Olivia realized that only Daisy and Olivia had heard the crying. Kate remembered those two were the only students living in that dorm and believed the crying must have come from someone in Fontaine. Iria wondered if the crying belonged to one of the first-year students. Olivia quietly hesitated. She admitted the voice did not sound like a girl's voice. Merdia noticed the surroundings suddenly turning dark. She declared that this was no ordinary change because it was the beginning of one of the 7 mysteries of the Academy. Iria questioned the sudden darkness. Ruby gasped in confusion as she reminded everyone that this was an academy filled only with girls. Merdia suddenly announced that one of those 6 girls would die that very night. The shocking prediction spread fear through the group as everyone froze before those dreadful words. Iria questioned whether the crying voice could belong to one of the teachers because they might have been struggling with their work. Olivia then denied that possibility because the crying voice did not sound like an adult woman. She lowered her gaze and remained silent. She believed that whoever the unknown person was, they were most likely carrying deep sadness or enduring unbearable pain. Daisy quietly admitted that the thought was probably true. Iria believed no one would cry without a reason. They silently accepted those words as the weight of the conversation settled over them. Olivia lowered her head with quiet determination. She wanted to help that unknown person because she could not leave someone crying all alone. Merdia felt deeply moved by Olivia's kindness. Kate believed someone named Elise might have heard the crying. Lena planned to ask the girls staying in the same dorm later. Iria decided to ask around as well. Daisy thought it was a good idea for everyone to ask as many people as possible. Everyone quickly agreed on the next step. Once the classes ended, they would gather as much information as possible. They would meet again during their free time after dinner and share everything they had learned. Merdia and Dragon quietly looked at each other. Even after making a plan, both of them still carried uneasiness as they wondered what truth would be waiting for them. Things had clearly taken a strange turn as Olivia and the other students walked away together. Dragon wondered if stepping in would be the better choice. Merja believed the girls needed to learn how to face problems on their own. Dragon admitted that any real danger could be resolved in an instant if necessary. Merja accepted that thought and decided waiting while watching over them was the best choice for now. Dragon quietly accepted Meridia's decision. Both of them chose to wait and observe what would happen next before taking any action. Kate reported that the children in Petra had not heard anyone crying. Every answer from Petra led to the same result, and no trace of the mysterious voice could be found. Ruby admitted that no one in Arbos had heard the crying either. Iria then asked about Daisy's findings. Daisy revealed that several students in Fontaine had heard the mysterious voice. Daisy added that the matter did not end there. Daisy continued the report with a troubled expression. Many of the students who had heard the mysterious crying had grown deeply uneasy after experiencing that strange voice. Dragon questioned whether everyone had become uneasy. Kate answered that feeling down at night was perfectly normal. Iria reminded them not to become an airhead. Kate accepted the explanation. Ruby admitted that the group had only started living there a short time ago after all. Ruby believed that explanation made sense. She reflected that a mysterious voice crying during the night would naturally be disturbing. Daisy agreed. Olivia revealed that she had found one more strange thing. She explained that everyone had been asked where the voice was coming from. Everyone gave a different answer. She wondered how that could be possible. Merja remained silent beside Dragon. The thought continued that someone should have seen the person. Yet nobody had. Daisy explained that no one had even caught a glimpse of the person. Olivia confirmed that no one had. She added that the crying voice also came from strange places. Lena revealed that the voice sometimes came from outside the dorms. She continued that it sometimes came from the top of the roof. She also revealed that it sometimes came from outside the third-floor window. Iria reacted in disbelief because the third floor was extremely high. The person must be huge. Kate firmly believed that could not be possible. Lena quietly murmured another possibility. Lena hesitated before revealing that it could be a ghost. Iria looked at Lena in confusion. Lena suddenly let out a frightened scream. Daisy guessed Lena had not performed well in magic class. Iria reminded everyone that physical attacks could never work against ghosts. Lena broke into loud tears. Ruby asked whether Lena knew a lot about ghosts. Lena quietly answered no. Lena believed the voice sounded like a ghost story. Olivia agreed that many stories ended with someone claiming it had been a ghost. Iria cried even louder and begged everyone to stop. She asked whether Olivia was afraid of ghosts. Olivia quietly answered that she was not really afraid. Olivia added another reason. She believed that even if the crying voice belonged to a ghost, the voice still sounded very sad. She asked whether there was anything that could be done for the ghost. Olivia believed someone crying like that could never be ignored. Olivia insisted that something had to be done. She also reminded everyone that many girls had become frightened because of that mysterious voice. Daisy agreed that Olivia was right. Daisy admitted that many students in the dorms had already become uneasy, while Iria let out a troubled groan. Daisy suggested that everyone meet again at Fontaine that night. Dragon wondered whether the teachers would become angry. Ruby promised that everyone would figure something out. Kate promised that the group would help as well. Lena softly agreed. Olivia thanked everyone. The group decided to meet again that night. Merja remained silent beside Dragon. Neither of them voiced any opinion as they quietly watched the others. Dragon wondered whether the mysterious voice was truly a ghost. Merja quietly considered the question. She admitted that no answer came to mind. She confessed that meeting a ghost had never happened before. She asked whether the same question. Dragon quietly answered no. Dragon agreed that at least the possibility of a ghost did not seem likely. Merja concluded that the mystery was probably not caused by a ghost. Kate quietly wondered whether ghosts truly existed in the real world. Lena admitted that ghosts only appeared in stories. She gently questioned what the truth was outside those tales. Ruby admitted that knowledge about ghosts was almost non-existent. She explained that stories about cursed objects were far more common than stories about ghosts. Ruby continued with another example. Ruby explained that the world of jewelry contained many records of cursed pendants. Iria suddenly cried out after Ruby unexpectedly grabbed his face while giving the example. Dragon wondered whether they was really going to look into the mystery. Merja believed they could not just leave things as they were. She revealed that when they were talking to the other girls, some of them started to cry. She admitted that quite a few girls had cried. Olivia quietly confessed that she understood how they felt. She admitted that being separated from her father often made her feel lonely. She revealed that the loneliness made sleeping hard. She confessed that when she heard someone else crying, she started to feel scared. Ruby quietly admitted that she supposed so. She confessed that living on her own for the first time was quite lonely. Iria quietly admitted that he guessed that was true. Olivia answered with a soft sound of agreement. Olivia wondered whether the ghost felt the same way. Olivia believed the ghost was probably all alone. Daisy softly called Olivia by name, then Olivia wanted to help them. She believed the girls in the dorm would not get scared anymore after that. She believed it did not matter whether it was the lonely ghost or the other girls being scared. She believed they could not just leave things this way. Merdia praised Olivia as a truly good girl. Olivia remembered that someone always showed up to save others in the stories. She wanted to help them too. Lena softly called Olivia by name. Lena admitted that she understood. Lena believed good stories always had happy endings. Olivia thanked Lena. Lena agreed completely. Iria reluctantly accepted that if helping was what Olivia wanted, then he would go along with it. Kate admitted that boredom had been there from the start. Daisy declared that everyone had to do this for everyone's sake. They reluctantly accepted that if helping was what Olivia wanted, then he would go along with it. Everyone answered with a united agreement. Lena admitted that nothing could be heard. Kate guessed that Iria had been so loud that she scared the ghost away. Olivia wondered whether the ghost was not there that night. Iria believed that if that was true, then it was good. Lena quietly reminded everyone that it did not solve anything. Olivia wondered what they should do. Ruby revealed that she had brought something for Olivia. Olivia wondered what the objects were. Ruby explained that they were stones imbued with magic. Ruby asked whether Olivia's family also used those stones. Daisy revealed that those stones were special. Daisy proposed using the stones to find the culprit. The stones suddenly began to shine. Olivia noticed the strange change. They watched in surprise. Everyone realized that the stones were moving. The magic stones suddenly rushed forward at great speed. Olivia noticed that the stones were definitely pointing somewhere. Daisy believed the destination was probably over there. Olivia urged everyone to go. Iria hesitated and wondered whether they really had to continue. Ruby reminded Iria to stay quiet first. She admitted they had already come that far and believed they could not stop now. Daisy decided to use some silence magic. The magic quietly began to shine. Daisy used silence magic, and the surroundings instantly fell silent. Merdia reacted with surprise while Iria wondered what Daisy had done. Daisy explained that the magic came from her grandmother and that it could hide the sound of things like cutlery. She admitted that the magic really blocked most of the noise they made. Lena quietly agreed that it truly did. Olivia praised Daisy and called the magic amazing. She believed that now the ghost would not hear them. A strange eerie cry echoed through the darkness, and the sound still reached everyone. Daisy and Ruby looked toward the sound. They quietly watched the unexpected movement. Olivia asked whether everyone had heard that sound. Ruby hesitated before admitting that the sound had definitely reached her as well. Olivia quietly observed that the sound had been like a weak, high-pitched cry. She looked at Iria and gently asked whether Iria was all right. Daisy wondered where the sound was coming from. Olivia realized that light magic could not be used because it would make the surroundings look like daytime. Lena calmly assured everyone that there was no problem. She quietly focused on the darkness and watched the surroundings without looking away. She quietly admitted that something could be seen. Daisy looked toward Lena with surprise and wondered what Lena had found. Lena revealed that seeing in the dark was possible for her. Lena pointed into the darkness and revealed that the figure was right there. Iria looked in the same direction and wondered where it was because nothing could be seen. Lena pointed toward the roof. She finally noticed the figure on the roof. Olivia thought that it looked kind of small. Daisy guessed that it might be a cat or something similar. Olivia concluded that it was an animal. Daisy immediately believed that there was no problem if that was the case. Merdia suddenly believed the truth had been figured out. Dragon wondered what Merdia had figured out. Olivia concluded that the figure had only been an animal. Daisy reacted with surprise. Meridia believed everything would probably be fine then. Dargan questioned why she believed that. Kate revealed that food had been prepared just in case something like this happened. Kate showed several cookies and explained that the food had been made just in case. Olivia looked at the cookies with curiosity and wondered whether they were cookies. She quietly thought that they smelled a little strange. Kate hoped those cookies could be used to call the animal over. She also believed that people usually liked good-tasting food. Olivia volunteered to give them a try. Kate called out with a friendly greeting and encouraged the animal to stop hiding and come closer. She gently assured the animal that there was no need to hide and invited it to come over. The black cat immediately answered with a sharp hiss and remained wary of everyone. A loud impact suddenly echoed through the night, and everyone froze in shock. Olivia and Ruby cried out Kate's name as they watched the unexpected attack. Daisy and the others could only stare at the sudden scene in disbelief. Kate suddenly cried out in pain as something struck again. Kate desperately called for everyone to wait and stop while the strange creature let out another sharp cry. Olivia and Daisy shouted Kate's name in alarm. Merdya and Dragon watched the scene in shock, while Ruby stared without knowing what to do. Ruby suddenly dashed forward and shouted for the creature to stop. Kate suddenly cried out as something struck her. The creature faced her while she could only glare back and call out to it. The strange creature suddenly spread its wings and flew into the night. Ruby watched in surprise while Kate remained where she had fallen. Olivia hurried to Kate and worriedly asked whether Kate was all right. Ruby looked up in surprise as the creature had already flown away. Kate assured everyone that she was fine because it had only scratched her a little. Daisy looked toward the sky and wondered what that thing had been. She admitted that it did not look like a dog or a cat. Olivia wondered whether Lena had seen where the creature had gone. Kate believed it had looked more like a bat. Lena quietly nodded and believed it had gone there. Lena continued to believe it had gone toward the clock tower. Daisy wondered whether Lena meant the clock tower. Ruby believed it was the kind of place a bat would like. Olivia quickly gathered her resolve and decided that everyone should go after it. Lena quietly wondered whether the creature had gone up there. Olivia believed that was probably the place. Lena warned that it was dangerous because students were not allowed to go there. Kate smiled and reminded Lena that everyone was already breaking the rules by being outside so late. Iria quietly reminded everyone to be careful and not get caught as the group stepped into the clock tower. Iria noticed that it was pitch black inside because not even the moonlight reached that place. Daisy created a small light with magic. She encouraged everyone to keep going. Kate quietly wondered what that ghost actually was. She believed it had looked like a bat, but still remained uncertain. Daisy believed it had been rather large for a bat. Ruby wondered whether the creature was hungry because it had been quick to grab those cookies. Olivia remembered meeting a big spider that had come from the dark realm once before. Iria could only react with surprise. Olivia admitted that the thought was not exactly normal because she had once read a book in the old library and accidentally summoned a giant spider. She suddenly became curious and asked whether that big bat could be the same one. She believed it might have come from the dark realm and somehow become trapped. She believed that would explain why it was crying because it had no friends and nothing to eat. Iria quietly remarked that the story was making the creature seem pitiful. Lena looked ahead and realized that everyone was almost at the top. A strong wind rushed across the top of the clock tower and echoed through the night as everyone reached the highest level. A weak cry echoed nearby, and the sound made Olivia quietly react with a pained ache as the lonely voice reached everyone once again. Ruby looked around in amazement and realized everyone had climbed quite high. She noticed the lonely ghost should be nearby. Olivia suddenly spotted the creature and realized it was right there as it cried softly while resting on the edge of the tower. Olivia remembered seeing something like that in the monster compendium. Iria wondered what the creature had been called again. Olivia finally remembered that the creature was a babat and realized it was the spawn of a vamp. Silence spread through the night while everyone fell quiet and stared toward the roof as no answer came to anyone. Kate admitted that no cookies remained because the strange creature had already taken the rest of them, while Ruby quietly accepted the answer. The group realized there was no way to reach the roof, and Olivia wondered what they should do next as everyone searched for another solution. Olivia reached out toward the small creature and urged it to come closer because she believed it had lost its way, while promising that everyone would help it return to the dark realm. The small creature answered with silence while Olivia continued reassuring it that the path back to the dark realm would be found for it. Iria quietly resolved to go after the creature without waiting any longer. Daisy, Olivia, and Ruby turned toward Iria after hearing her decision, while Kate remained close behind them and watched in silence. Daisy reacted with surprise when Iria declared that climbing the wall would be easy because she believed her athletic ability was enough to reach the roof. Kate worried that the wall was far too high and questioned how Iria planned to climb it, while Iria insisted that such a wall meant nothing to her. Ruby asked whether Iria could truly make the climb, while Iria answered with confidence that success was certain. Iria swiftly climbed the wall with light movements and treated every step as though the height offered no challenge. She reached the rooftop where the small creature waited while the others remained below and watched her advance. Iria gently invited the small creature to come down with her, while encouraging it not to be afraid and asking it to join everyone below. The small creature hesitated in silence before slowly reaching out and placing one tiny paw against Iria's hand. Olivia laughed with relief after watching the small creature accept Iria's hand, while Daisy celebrated her success, and Lena quietly watched the happy outcome. Iria believed that only the trip back down remained after gaining the small creature's trust. Iria suddenly lost her footing and realized too late that she had slipped, while only a startled sound escaped as both she and the small creature fell from the rooftop. They watched the fall in horror, while Dragon and Mirja froze in shock as Iria and the small creature dropped through the night sky. Iria and the small creature continued falling while realizing that something had to be done before it was too late. Olivia forced herself to think and search through the old books that her father had once read with her because she believed they contained the answer she needed. Olivia remembered wind magic and immediately called out Iria's name before invoking "Submit to me, O wind draconic breath," eclipse as a powerful current rushed toward the falling pair. Iria watched the small creature drift safely within the powerful current of wind, while hope returned after seeing the spell take effect. The rushing wind carried Iria and the small creature together before driving them away from the tower with overwhelming force. The swirling current crashed into the ground with tremendous power as the spell completed its rescue in a violent impact. They stood frozen without a single word as the terrifying sight unfolded before them, and every face filled with disbelief while the destructive storm continued to rage around Iria. The raging wind swallowed Iria and the small Babat, while the violent current crashed into the rooftop and shattered the stone beneath them with overwhelming force. Iria let out a small cry after the hard landing, while the strange creature stayed beside Iria and watched without moving. They cried out Olivia's name as they watched Iria fall from the tower. Olivia called Iria's name with all her strength while the others watched with fear. The strange creature remained beside Iria as broken stones scattered across the ground. She slowly endured the pain and could only let out a weak groan. Daisy praised Olivia and declared that Olivia's magic had been incredible. Olivia trembled with relief and thanked fate that Iria had been saved. The group quickly decided that everyone needed to hurry down to the ground. The large crater below remained before them as the rescue became their only concern. The group hurried toward Iria and the small creature across the broken ground. They reached them together while the small creature quietly remained beside Iria. Iria smiled despite the pain while Olivia looked relieved. Lena watched in silence as Ruby and Kate welcomed the small creature without fear. The small creature accepted the group and remained with them. The loud crash drew attention across the academy. Next day, Headmaster Kuri looked toward the shattered clock tower and wondered what had happened. She stared at the strange monster in disbelief while others questioned where the enormous hole had come from. Olivia flinched as a furious voice suddenly called Olivia's name. The sharp shout made Olivia freeze and brace for what would come next. Headmaster Kuri called every name without leaving anyone behind. Olivia, Daisy, Iria, Kate, Ruby, and Lena stood together in silence while facing Headmaster Kuri. She demanded to know what every girl had been thinking after causing such an unbelievable incident. She listed every offense, including leaving the academy grounds, breaking curfew, using magic without permission, approaching dangerous monsters alone, and allowing Iria to fall from the tower. One student quietly tried to explain that Olivia had used an incredible spell to save Iria. Headmaster declared that the destruction went far beyond simple property damage and refused to accept that explanation. She demanded to know what part of saving Iria required creating such an enormous hole. She declared that none of those reasons could excuse the reckless actions. She insisted that one person getting hurt did not make everything acceptable. She ended the lecture by declaring that no excuses would be accepted. Headmaster declared the punishment without leaving room for argument. Every girl would write a 20-page apology. Every girl would clean the grounds for 10 days. Every girl would also remain confined to the dormitory except for attending classes. The students quickly spread the story across the academy. They excitedly revealed that the crying had really come from a monster. Others spoke about the massive hole in the clock tower and praised Olivia for creating it with magic. Dragon admired how Olivia defeated the monster, while others believed angry teachers were simply part of school life. Many concluded that everything had finally been resolved. Some remembered that the girls from Class 0 had captured the creature. The strange creature happily celebrated because peaceful sleep could finally return once again. Dragon asked what had happened to the little monster after everything ended. Merdio explained that a teacher with knowledge of the Dark Realm had safely returned the little monster to its home. Dragon accepted the answer and believed there was nothing left to worry about. Merdio agreed that everyone could finally return without any more concerns. Olivia slowly walked away while letting out a weary sigh after the long ordeal. The group called Olivia's name and hurried after Olivia together. Dragon remembered that long ago protecting everyone had always felt like a personal duty. He quietly realized that everything had changed because helping friends had now become a choice made with genuine determination. Several students suddenly approached Olivia with excitement. They praised Olivia for defeating the monster and asked if Olivia had really gotten rid of it. Dragon suddenly felt something move, and the unexpected change left everyone frozen for a brief instant. He praised Olivia and declared that she was amazing. He smiled brightly and offered thanks to the school because everything had ended well. The night grew quiet beneath the moonlight, and Olivia noticed how peaceful everything had become while wondering if the silence had finally returned after the long commotion. Kate looked toward Olivia and quietly acknowledged her words before noticing the object in Olivia's hands. She wondered what it was while watching it with quiet curiosity. Olivia gently held the brooch in both hands and revealed that it was a brooch that her father had given to her. Kate smiled softly and admired the brooch. She believed it looked wonderful, while Olivia let out a small laugh. Olivia explained that it was a good luck charm that her father had given to her for her birthday. She also admitted that the teachers would become angry if it was worn with the school uniform, so it always stayed hidden. She remembered the moment when Iria fell from the tower. Olivia admitted that there had been no certainty that the magic could save Iria because that spell had only appeared once in an old book. Olivia looked at Kate before answering that everything had turned out well because her father had been watching over everyone. Kate let out a quiet laugh and wondered if Olivia truly loved her father. Olivia smiled gently and answered without hesitation that such feelings were only natural. Kate wondered whether the little monster had managed to return home safely. Olivia believed that the little monster had made it home. She admitted that a little jealousy remained because she also wanted to see her father again. Kate agreed and admitted that summer vacation was something to look forward to as well. Summer had arrived. 3 months had passed since Olivia began attending the Florence Royal Academy for Girls. The carriage rolled along the road with steady sounds while the long-awaited day had finally arrived. Dragon stood alone in the forest, as the day that Olivia had been waiting for had finally come. Olivia rushed toward Dragon with every step filled with joy as the word Daddy became her heartfelt greeting, and the words I'm back became the happy announcement of her return. Dragon stood waiting as Olivia hurried closer toward him, and her joyful return reached him before anything else could. He fell silent as emotion overcame him, and only a quiet sniff escaped while he looked at Olivia once again. Dragon wrapped Olivia in a warm embrace as he welcomed her home. Olivia buried herself against him with a joyful smile while the long-awaited reunion finally became real. The carriage disappeared into the distance while Dragon smiled and realized that 3 whole months had truly passed since the last time he and she had seen each other. She happily answered that so much time had passed. Dragon wondered how school had been. Olivia eagerly shared that school had been super fun and that she had made a whole bunch of friends. Olivia suddenly remembered something important and excitedly realized that something had happened at school. Olivia explained that everyone had become really scared because every night they could hear someone crying. She continued that she and the other children from Class 0 had gone to investigate. Dragon understood the story and realized that had been the reason Olivia skipped watching his classes. Olivia happily revealed that the crying had come from a lost monster after all. Dragon praised Olivia by believing she had done a good job. Olivia laughed softly and admitted that it had not been her achievement alone because everyone had worked together. Olivia proudly explained that everyone had played an important part in catching the monster. Ruby had used magic to find it. Kate had prepared cookies. Olivia fondly remembered how every friend had contributed in a different way until they finally succeeded together. Olivia happily shared that another time would come for more stories. Dragon smiled that school truly suited her. Olivia happily shared that Lena loved reading books together with her. She admitted that worry had come first when Iria took her place. Dragon confessed that relief had followed afterward. He quietly realized that hearing Olivia speak so happily about moments he had never seen brought a small feeling of sadness. Olivia suddenly called out for Daddy with bright excitement. Dragon wondered what had happened. Olivia admitted that school was a lot of fun. Olivia confessed that the days there had been filled with happiness. She simply wanted Dragon to know how much fun school had been. She smiled and admitted that Dragon was still the one Olivia loved the most. Dragon called her name as emotion overflowed. He pulled Olivia into a tight embrace and declared that Dragon was happiest with Olivia too. Olivia let out a small sniffle as the hug became too tight. She complained that Daddy was hurting her. Olivia's name echoed through the air as Mirja called for her with joy while Olivia hurried forward toward Mirja. Olivia received a warm welcome home while Dragon watched beside her, and Mirja also stood nearby to greet Olivia. Olivia answered with heartfelt thanks. She noticed how much everyone had grown since the last time they met. Olivia accepted those words with a happy smile while the warmth of their reunion filled the air. The family decided that the evening would be celebrated with a feast. Olivia welcomed the idea with delight, and everyone looked forward to the joyful gathering. Hooray became the cheerful feeling that spread through the home. Summer vacation had begun, and that was how the month started. It somehow felt as though the days ahead would be both long and far too short. Dragon looked over the pile of papers and realized they were all Olivia's homework. His thoughts drifted to how difficult human children had it since even summer vacation came with endless assignments. Dragon picked up another workbook and found elementary grimoire analysis questions. Olivia had already finished that one without leaving a single page undone. He reached for Magic Circle practice book, and Olivia proudly revealed that one was finished too. The questions had been so easy that Olivia had even completed the exercises from the next level. He opened the ancient language vocabulary guide and found every page complete. Olivia happily declared that every assignment had already been finished. Dragon could hardly hide his amazement as Olivia's ability left him speechless. Summer vacation had only just begun, yet Olivia had already completed every assignment. Olivia let out a cheerful laugh while Dragon admitted that every effort to help had been unnecessary because she was simply too capable. She gently reached toward another sheet of paper and quietly revealed that one task still remained. Olivia explained that help was needed for the final task. Dragon accepted at once while Olivia happily asked if that was truly possible. He gladly accepted the request without hesitation and eagerly declared that the task could be left to him. Mirja let out a weary sigh and wondered why going outside was necessary. She wished everyone could simply stay inside instead. Olivia explained that the outing was for her homework. Mirja agreed that helping Olivia was the right choice. Claudia happily declared that a picnic while observing the local flora was a wonderful idea. Dragon revealed that Olivia would begin a herbology class in the fall and needed to research wild plants to prepare for it. Olivia asked if lunch had been prepared. Dragon answered that everything was already ready. Claudia smiled with a quiet laugh as Dragon remarked that Olivia looked surprisingly fitting in outdoor clothes. Merdia looked exhausted and pointed out that Olivia seemed to have forgotten something important. Olivia accepted the straw hat that Mirja gently placed on her head. Mirja explained that no beautiful young girl should go on a picnic without a straw hat. Olivia quietly admired the gift as it rested comfortably on her head. Mirja happily revealed that there was something more prepared for the picnic. She happily declared that there could be no greater honor. She also reminded Olivia to be careful of heat stroke. Olivia smiled with delight after seeing the straw hat. Dragon led the way while Olivia, Merdia, and Claudia followed together through the forest. Dragon introduced it as one of the wild plants growing on the mountain. This plant was called 5-minute grass. He then pointed to another plant and explained that it was sorrel. He continued by introducing another herb that humans called round mint. Olivia looked at Dragon with admiration and realized Dragon knew a great deal about wild plants. Dragon laughed softly and admitted that everything about the mountain was familiar to him. Mirja admitted that plants had never received much attention before. Claudia suggested collecting some herbs to make herbal tea later. Olivia quietly wondered about the idea. A strange sound suddenly came from the nearby plants and caught Olivia's attention. Olivia noticed a plant that did not appear anywhere in the guidebook. Dragon explained that the plant was actually very common around the area. Olivia reacted with surprise after hearing that. She asked Dragon if some of the plants could be taken home. Dragon agreed, but reminded her to take only one because the plant might belong to a new species. Merdia called out that the others were going to leave them behind. Olivia hurried after everyone and called for them to wait. The weather was wonderful that day as everyone continued their picnic beneath the clear summer sky. Dragon noticed that the pink flowers from spring had already disappeared. Olivia wondered about them, and Dragon explained that those flowers only bloomed during that season. He pointed toward a patch of flowers and explained that summer brought honeybee flowers instead. Olivia quickly understood and admired the new blossoms. Merdia cheerfully suggested that it was finally time to open the lunch boxes. She called Dragon Elder Dragon with playful respect and invited everyone to begin lunch. Dragon happily agreed and proudly declared that this meal was something worth looking forward to. Olivia, Merdia, and Claudia could only stare at Dragon in complete disbelief. Merdia hesitated as she nervously called out to Dragon. She realized that Dragon had forgotten to prepare the food. Olivia and Claudia looked toward Dragon in surprise. Olivia quietly looked into the lunch basket and found nothing more than bread. She innocently pointed it out while Dragon let out an awkward laugh. Dragon smiled with complete confidence and proudly welcomed everyone to the Elder Dragon restaurant. He politely asked Olivia what kind of sandwich she would like to order. Olivia looked surprised and realized Dragon was actually making the sandwiches on the spot. Olivia thought for a moment before asking for bread with cream cheese egg salad and pickles. Dragon gladly accepted the order and immediately began preparing the sandwich. Dragon presented the finished sandwich to Olivia. She happily accepted it with delight. Merdia eagerly asked for one as well and wondered where Claudia's restaurant was. Claudia warmly accepted the order and asked what Merdia would like. Merdia happily requested everything and asked for every ingredient to be included. Olivia happily declared that Dragon's sandwich would be prepared next. Olivia asked what Dragon would like on her sandwich. He happily wanted lots of herbs with salt, pepper, and some salad oil to finish everything with. Olivia carefully prepared the sandwich with every ingredient Dragon requested until everything came together just as planned. Everyone gathered together for lunch and thanked Dragon for the wonderful food as smiles spread across every face. That meal had been truly delicious, and every bite had disappeared until nothing remained inside the jar. Merdia admitted that going outside once in a while was not too bad. Olivia felt happy because playing together again filled the day with joy. Claudia noticed that Olivia had spent quite a bit of time on homework lately. Olivia happily admitted that was true. Dragon remained silent while Olivia happily revealed that every homework assignment had finally been completed. She believed that finishing every lesson meant every day could now become another day to play together. Dragon listened as Olivia happily remembered that until 3 months ago, every day had been like this. Merdia quietly realized that once summer vacation ended, Olivia would be going back to school. Olivia stood beneath the bright sky, while Dragon silently wondered how much summer vacation was left anyway. The peaceful scenery gently carried that thought through the passing afternoon. Dragon remained lost in thought until Olivia softly called for Daddy. Dragon looked shaken as Merdia noticed something was wrong with him. Dragon could only let out a faint sound, while Merdia wondered if Dragon was all right. She asked what was wrong with Elder Dragon. A single tear fell before Dragon struggled to admit that Dragon did not want summer to end. Olivia looked at Dragon with worry, while Merdia wondered if Dragon had become a child. Olivia asked what was wrong with Daddy while trying to comfort him. Olivia reminded Dragon that 20 days of summer vacation still remained. Olivia also reminded Dragon that all homework had already been finished, so there was no reason to worry. Dragon remained silent as the truth lingered that Olivia loved school very much. He struggled to hold back the feelings that rose inside his heart. He believed those thoughts were selfish. He knew Olivia had to return to school after those 20 days. Merdia trembled as worry filled her heart. She believed Olivia had to go back to school, and that truth could not be changed. Olivia softly called for Daddy. Olivia then called for Miss Merdia. The worried voices reached them as Dragon could only let out a strained breath. Dragon lowered his head and softly apologized to Olivia. He admitted that true happiness came from seeing her enjoy school. The flowers gently swayed beneath the open sky. The lingering feelings remained inside every heart. He admitted that Olivia was deeply loved, and that loneliness always came whenever she was not beside him. He remembered spending hundreds of years sleeping alone inside his shrine, yet no loneliness had existed during those days. He realized everything had changed because Olivia had become an irreplaceable part of his life. Olivia softly called for Daddy after watching Dragon from a short distance. She confessed that leaving Dragon by himself filled her heart with regret. She quietly apologized because Dragon had been left alone. Dragon held Olivia close while listening as Olivia admitted that school was a lot of fun and that Olivia would be going back in the fall. He could only answer with a quiet agreement. Olivia gently reassured Dragon that there was no need to worry. Olivia firmly promised that no matter what happened, Olivia would definitely come back home. He remained silent while those heartfelt words reached deeper than anything else Olivia had spoken that day. Dragon reflected that the truth was exactly as Olivia believed. Even if the thought filled him with unease, he knew that as long as Olivia was still smiling in the end, then Dragon would be happy as well. One summer morning during summer break, Olivia returned home. Dragon heard a strange sound echo through the house. He immediately called Olivia's name with alarm as worry rushed through every thought. Olivia stood frozen while calling for Daddy. Fear filled her as the unexpected situation left her unable to understand what had just happened. Dragon looked at the soaked kitchen with shock and questioned what had happened there. He listened as Olivia hesitated before admitting Olivia wanted to make breakfast for Daddy. Olivia also confessed that milk soup was supposed to be prepared for Dragon. She admitted that magic was used because the fire could not be controlled properly. She confessed that the proper method was unknown and that everything ended in failure. Dragon softly called Olivia's name. He realized she had tried to prepare a home-cooked meal. He felt deeply moved and thanked Olivia because he felt truly overjoyed. He gently told Olivia not to worry, even though the meal had failed. Dragon happily agreed. He promised to teach Olivia how to cook and encouraged her to try once more. Olivia accepted with a determined smile. He stayed beside Olivia and carefully taught each step. She watched closely and followed Dragon's guidance while learning how to cook. She gently stirred the pot while Dragon smiled beside her. Dragon felt happy as Olivia slowly learned to cook with her own hands. Olivia happily celebrated because the meal was finally finished. She proudly declared that it was done while Dragon smiled with joy as the delicious dish came together. He happily thanked Olivia and praised the meal because it tasted delicious. Olivia became even happier after hearing those words and wondered if meals like this could be made for everyone at school someday. A week had already passed since Olivia ran off with endless energy. After a wonderful summer holiday, Olivia returned to the dormitory at Florence Girls' Academy. Dragon learned that the Demon Queen had become so lonely that the Demon Queen stayed inside her room. Claudia stayed beside the Demon Queen and rarely appeared outside. Merdia desperately wondered when Olivia would return while Claudia gently promised to always be there for her. Merdia insisted that promise was not enough. Dragon quietly admitted that before long Dragon had started to miss Olivia as well. Dragon looked up after hearing a sudden sound. A surprised cry escaped as an owl swiftly flew toward him carrying a letter. He looked at the unexpected visitor with surprise. He wondered if the bird was truly an owl. He noticed the seal and realized the letter had come from Florence Girls' Academy. He accepted the letter from the owl and looked at it with curiosity. He quietly wondered what could possibly be written inside. He opened the letter and read a message from Florence Girls' Academy. The letter expressed gratitude for him, continued support, and explained that Olivia's progress in studies and training was being reported. He suddenly feared the letter might be a summons sent to the parents of troublesome students. His face turned pale after reading further. He anxiously wondered what had happened to her. Dragon rushed away in panic while crying out in shock. He called for Olivia and vowed to reach her as quickly as possible. He flew through the sky with urgency as his thoughts stayed fixed on finding a place to land where nobody would see him. His only resolve was reaching Olivia without delay, and his determination pushed him forward as he declared that he was coming to her immediately. Dragon gave a hesitant greeting while introducing himself as Olivia Aradraco's father. The students answered with surprise before asking whether Dragon was truly Aradraco. She admitted that the letter had only been sent yesterday. The student believed Dragon lived on Olympus Mountain. Dragon admitted that was true. She realized that even the fastest horse would still need 3 days to reach the academy. He grumbled that humans could never fly through the sky like him and the frustration grew even stronger. He realized the timing was only a coincidence and accepted that such a coincidence could happen nearby. She accepted the advice that arriving so quickly had saved everyone a great deal of time and followed the guide toward the reception office. She then called the board chairman, and the dean had already been called. They also wondered whether the owl aren't even back yet. But that's still strange. The letter was supposed to his home. Dragon endured the awkward feeling with a quiet groan and accepted that the next visit should appear a little more human. Dragon followed the academy staff through the quiet corridor while the staff politely asked him to wait inside the room. Dragon accepted the request and remained where he was directed. A sudden voice reached him, and the unexpected sound made disbelief rise within him until the thought of no way became impossible to ignore. Olivia happily recognized Dragon as her father while he answered with surprise after seeing her again. Olivia wondered why Dragon had come to the school. Dragon admitted that he also did not really know the reason. The students warmly thanked Dragon for always getting along so well with Olivia. The others happily returned the kindness toward Dragon. He asked if it was break time already. Kate confirmed that it was. Her classmates confirmed they were already on the way to magic practice. Olivia found it exciting. Then someone recognized Olivia. They recognized Olivia as the new student who was known as the most gifted child since the academy was founded. Another student remembered that Olivia had written a thesis on herbology during the holidays. Dragon could only stare in confusion as Olivia's popularity became impossible to ignore. Even the quiet remark that Olivia was quite popular left Dragon speechless. They believed a wonderful father would naturally come to visit someone as amazing as Olivia. Lena realized that Olivia's father had somehow become popular as well. Another student admitted feeling jealous. Dragon could only answer with a confused refusal after hearing that such a fine gentleman had come to the academy. One student believed Dragon made her heart flutter. Another wished to look at Dragon's face a little closer. Her friends reminded everyone they needed to hurry or they would be scolded. The group quickly ran toward class. Olivia happily waved goodbye as class was about to begin. Olivia apologized to Dragon and promised they would meet again later. Olivia walked with her classmates as everyone asked if they were ready. One student admitted reading a book yesterday because it might help. Another believed Iria had never done any preparation before. One classmate felt both of them worried too much. Kate happily declared that studying was what truly mattered. Dragon remained at the window and quietly waved at Olivia as she walked away with her friends. Dragon listened as the academy offered a sincere apology. They admitted several students had recently shown poor manners. The board chairman accepted responsibility and apologized for their lack of education and their impolite behavior. The board chairman stepped into the room with another academy staff member. She respectfully thanked Dragon for accepting the invitation and sincerely expressed her gratitude for coming to the academy. Dragon politely introduced himself as Olivia's father. He believed the person standing before him was the one mentioned in the letter. The woman introduced herself as Vice Principal Kuri and explained that she had held the position of leading the school entrance ceremony. She then prepared to introduce another important person. Vice Principal Kuri introduced the academy founder and the current board chairman as Phyllis Florence. Dragon recognized that Phyllis Florence was an elf and quietly stared at her with surprise. Phyllis Florence heard her own name and quietly wondered why Dragon had spoken it. A distant memory stirred within Dragon. The name felt strangely familiar, as if it had been heard somewhere long ago. Dragon suddenly remembered the connection. He realized Phyllis Florence was a friend of Vandelson.